I had a Turbo Graphics.
The only person. Okay, we are live. By the looks of it, it's finally said we're live on YouTube. Hello, everyone who's watching along live for episode 18 of the Xbox Live Party Podcast. My name is Ash, aka I'm a Ghostbuster, and I am joined today by my assortment of merry men. We have got Fabio. How's it going, good sir?
Doing great. A bit tired, but doing great. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. We've got Alucard, false Alucard. How's it going?
Very well. Can't wait to get into this. It's going to be an interesting, different day.
Yes.
So
I can see your excitement very well. I'm alive, I guess. You just
I'm
said
alive,
that
I
before.
guess.
We've got Slayer exclusive. How's it going?
What's up? Good. Finally back, back home. So got my camera and everything again. So good to be here. Glad to be here.
Good stuff.
And good internet?
Stuff.
Oh yeah. Very good internet.
And we are joined by KY Bob on time as well. How is it going?
Yeah. Well, I ended my job with my employer of 19 years this past Thursday, and I'm now on a schedule where I will be here every Saturday, whether you all like it or not.
Nice.
Right.
There we have it.
In a
Beautiful.
Always happy to have you.
a good leaving or a bad parting, like that is the question.
Yeah. I know. I've been playing Biomutant though.
Oh,
Nice.
the game looks
And
awesome.
It's really beautiful game, but it's for people who are a little patient because it does a lot of talking
Yes.
to you
I
to
know.
give you everything you
heard.
need to know.
I heard.
Yeah, it's a very Marmite game from the looks of it. We're going to crack on because I don't know how long this is going to take. So we're doing a sort of a special episode this time. Instead of jumping into what we're playing and the news and stuff like that we normally do, this week we are deciding in our opinion, the greatest games console ever. Now, we are doing this by a knockout bracket system. And obviously, there's 5 of us, so there shouldn't be a draw. Thank God. I was really worried there was going to be 4 or 6 of us, and it was going to be a draw every round, and I would have to use sort of like my imperialistic power to decide myself. So what we've done, rules of it, no handhelds, no current gen, because we can't get a sense of these consoles at the moment, and it would be silly to sort of base them and compare them to past generations that have been and gone and finished.
Yeah.
We are only going back as far as the 4th generation. So no Atari, no NES, no Intellivision, ColecoVision, and Magnavox Odyssey. I apologise anyone who's super retro, but the fact that most people haven't played or owned these consoles, bar a couple of us, it didn't seem a fair fight. So we've basically stuck it to 16 of the most modern consoles. So all of the sort of 8th, 7th, 6th, most of the 5th and the 4th, minus a few systems that we haven't played enough to give a fair criticism of. And they're going to obviously go down from 16 to 8, 8 to 4, 4 to 2, and we'll crown a champion. We don't know the seeding yet. It's all done absolutely randomly. So I am going to create the brackets now. So it could be absolutely horrendous.
There we go.
We're then going to go around the group on each pairing, give a quick our thoughts and sort of our arguments as to why something should progress. And basically that's how it's going to go till we get to the end. And then depending on how long this runs, we may do sort of what we've been playing and a sprinkling of news at the end. But we'll see what sort of time period we're on when we get to the end of this. So I'm going to generate the brackets now.
This is going to be good.
It could be horrible.
Just drum roll.
Oh, this is a good one, actually. This has worked out really well. When I tested this, it was terrible. It was like all the same manufacturers were next to each other, like facing each other off in the first round, whereas it sort of mixed it up here. So our first bracket is the Mega Drive, or the Genesis, as you Americans call it, versus the Nintendo Switch. Now, Fabio, what are you thinking?
Interesting.
Shit.
Hmm.
That's really interesting to be honest. Because in one side we have the Mega Drive with Sonic, and that's the best game in my opinion from the Mega Drive. It's one of my favorites from that time. And we have the Nintendo Switch with playing Legend of Zelda and and other Mario games. Man, to be I can't necessarily decide on one of them. I just can say about all the memories that I have with those games. And to be honest, the game that I mostly have good memories because I played a lot during my childhood was Sonic. So to be honest, I think I'll have to go with the Mega Drive. To be honest.
Good man, good man. What about you, Alucard? What do you think?
Well, I never had a Switch.
It's a good Mega Drive. Good Mega Drive because it's
Yeah.
it's amazing.
The Mega Drive. Well, I had the Sega Genesis, so
It's the same thing. It's just different
yeah,
name.
same
Like I say,
thing.
there was very few differences. I think there's been different styles of it. There was obviously like the Mega Drive 2 and stuff like that. One thing I did forget to mention. I apologise. We are including upgrade iteration. So the PS4 will get the PS4 Pro. Xbox One X, Xbox One S, they're all under the same bracket. The Mega Drive also has the 32X add-ons. The N64 had the expansion card add-on. They all come under the same thing. So N64 includes that, Mega Drive includes that. So it doesn't include
Don't
the Mega
forget-
CD though, because that was a separate console at one point.
No, it was not.
it-
You could not. No, you had to have the Mega Drive. snapped
Oh yeah, because you had the
into
Tower of
the
Power, didn't you?
CD.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you could
Yeah.
not use the CD by itself.
Yeah. So therefore, the Mega
Yeah.
CD also includes it.
Well,
so then the Mega
That
Drive.
was I was about to say the Sega Genesis was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
They had the
Like
Sega
this-
CD. They had the Sega X. No, the what was it called? It was like they had another attachment where it created made the games a little bit better. Like
Yeah,
Doom.
the 32X. It snapped
32X,
into the
yeah.
cartridge,
So
and then yeah.
the Sega Genesis was a company that was ahead of I think everybody. But they came out with too much hardware at the same time. And since they had the Sega CD and the 32X, and then not that long they came out with was it the Sega Saturn? And there was just too much hardware. And that's what basically destroyed them. But the Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, they had the most amazing games. They had awesome sound, the sound quality, the sound effects, the music. It had a blast processor, so that was like their big, where did they came up with to kind of go against the Super Nintendo and everything, so.
So
I think the
so-
Sega Genesis was ahead.
So that's a
That's my
vote for
favorite.
Sega Genesis then.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What about you,
Okay,
Slayer?
So I actually owned the Sega Genesis, so this is actually good. It's a good pairing because I have both. Now it's been a long time since I played the Genesis, but I do remember my time fondly playing that console. So it's a toughie because, I do love the Switch because I love the modern aspect to it and the fact that it's portable. That's an amazing thing for me.
The concept of the console is amazing.
Yeah, and the games are cool too. Like I
Yeah.
I love all the Mario games. I like Mario Kart. I love Mario Kart. It's like one of my favorite franchises ever. Like I grew up on Mario. When I first started playing Nintendo, like 64 was my first Nintendo console, and I played all the Mario games back then. Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, all that stuff. So, it's difficult because there were a few games that I really loved on the Sega Genesis, but and like I said, I remember my time finally with that system, but I'll have to go with the Switch on this one.
Right,
But,
2-1 to
most
the
of-
Mega Drive so far.
But like,
then.
but here's the thing. Are you going mostly just because I'm curious? Because is it more because you enjoyed more of the Nintendo Switch game, or is it because of anything else?
Well, so like, I guess it's because for me personally, I still play the Switch like today, right? And because I don't own the Genesis anymore. I had it like when I was a kid, and it broke, I think, or something like that. Something happened, and I've never gotten a replacement. And I do think that they made like a more modern version of it recently, not that long ago. Like
They
like
brought
they
the
have
mini
been
out
doing.
of it
Yeah.
a year or 2 years ago, I think. A year or two ago, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and I think my sister actually bought it, and I was like, okay, I only tried it for a little bit. And some of the games that actually were on Genesis, I think they also kind of remastered them for like some of the newer consoles. Like I think some of the Mickey games and stuff like that they have on like on the Xbox One marketplace.
Yeah.
But I
Something like
I
that.
think just for me personally, it's the Switch because I still use it, and I just love the functionality of it, and like how like what it's for.
Fair enough.
What?
So 2-1.
Yeah,
That's it.
2-1 so far. What about you, Bob?
I got to give it to the Sega Mega Drive, aka Sega Genesis,
Yes.
because we're forgetting something. So Nintendo brings out reiterations.
Yeah.
Like, so you had the last true console that they had was the Wii. The Wii U had a portable aspect to it. The Switch has a portable aspect to it. And with every iteration they come out with, they make you buy the same damn games all over again. Now, the Sega Genesis took one platform and expanded it to the 32X, the Sega CD. They were even the first company to have a 8-button controller. Remember the one that had the XYZ up top and the ABC down below it?
So you could play Street Fighter properly.
Oh,
So you could play Street Fighter
shit.
properly, and it had the bumper
Yeah.
buttons too. So I've got to
And-
give it to the Genesis. I have to.
So
Like that-
the
And
there are
Mortal Kombat
There are
had blood
so many games.
for the
Like
first
there are
time.
so many games that I forgot to mention. The first one that came to mind was Strong, but there is Mortal Kombat. There is Streets of Rage. There is holy fucking shit. There are so many Castlevania.
yeah.
Like
You can go on and on.
So it's
I
a
thought
basic
Sega-
whitewash then. Pretty
Sega
much.
Genesis was more of the adult console, I think.
Are
Yeah, I'll be
you,
honest, like-
are you
We had,
saying that Slayer is not an adult? Because
I'm not saying
Switch,
that.
he's a kid. Yeah.
Switch
that's
is
it.
like a family console
Well,
more than anything.
I don't know about that.
Well, my opinion doesn't matter because the Genesis / Mega Drive is already through. However, the Switch is an awesome console in premise
Facts.
because the handheld aspect of it's really good. Now, my issue with it is it's stupidly underpowered and overpriced. Like the games are immensely expensive. So
The most expensive place to play right now,
yeah, exactly.
for sure.
So, and to
Yeah.
be fair, nothing beats switching on a Mega Drive when you're a kid, booting up Sonic and seeing the speed and stuff, booting up Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Kid Chameleon, Comic Zone, Shinobi, Alex Kidd, all those sort of classics. I mean, the thing though, I'm from the UK and the Mega Drive was the console in the UK. Like, I think the Mega Drive did better in the UK than the SNES did and stuff like that. And plus, you've got to think the Mega Drive has the for its time had the superior ports of every cross-gen, like every multi-platform game. They were always better on Mega Drive. They even made their own versions for Mega Drive that included all the increased graphics, animation, sound quality and stuff. So, plus, like I say, they extended its life. I mean, way past it should have been. Like, they were kept reanimating that corpse as much as Rockstar do GTA 5 by sticking new bits on top of it. But it is awesome.
And releasing it on 3 different freaking consoles.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say,
Only 3. I think it's going to last 4 years.
Oh,
and
maybe,
whereas,
yeah.
I mean, the Switch has got some great games, but to me, the Switch at the moment is living off nostalgia. If it didn't have the Nintendo
Yeah.
and the current franchise it had, it wouldn't be as popular. Well, if it didn't have Zelda, it didn't have Mario, whereas the Mega Drive created Sonic. Do you know what I mean? Before Sonic, there wasn't any sort of major player for Sega. So it's through anyway. We'll move on to the next bracket. This one's a weird one, but funny. We've got the Nintendo Wii versus the GameCube.
Wow.
GameCube,
Okay.
done. That's it. Done.
Now, I agree with you on that
That's
sense,
Bye.
but the Wii has
So,
100% compatibility with the GameCube. It's backwards compat with the GameCube. You can connect it via more modern video output. You can connect the GameCube controllers. So
Right.
I don't like the Wii as a console.
Yeah.
It was crap. It was underpowered. Wii Tennis was great and boxing, but the rest of the games, the motion control was awful. It was as bad as Kinect. But
Wii Sports Resort was good though.
yeah,
The sword fighting one.
yeah,
Yeah,
was
but,
kinda
but here's
cool.
the thing.
I like that one.
Here's the thing. That's their best game in like when you are talking about that console. That's the first game that you are going to talk about.
but it's backwards compat with all
To
the
be honest.
GameCube stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't say GameCube is better than the Wii because the Wii is a GameCube with extras. I would rather the GameCube go
True.
through because the GameCube is the
so
better
we
console
are
in
t-
general.
So we are. This is something that we are going to put here. We are going to take into consideration the backwards compatibility.
Well, as part of a console, I think we should, yes. And
Yeah,
in that
I think
sense,
that's fair.
the Wii,
Okay.
even though
So
if you split the
if we had-
generations, the Wii, I think, pales compared to the GameCube. The GameCube games were better. The everything was amazing about the GameCube. It's literally one of my top consoles. But if I have to pick it in terms of overall sort of greatness, unfortunately, the Wii is a GameCube with extra, so you've got to put it above the GameCube in that
But here's
aspect.
the thing: you are mostly considering that because it has the back
See,
compatibility with.
but that's the thing,
GameCube.
right?
That's the thing.
Like so sorry, but to Ash's point, like I get exactly what he's saying. Like if someone today came to you and asked you, "Do I get a Wii or do I get a GameCube?" You know,
You go,
like, let's
get
say
a
I
Wii,
can
it's
buy
20
them-
quid.
Yeah.
It's a third of the price of a GameCube, and it plays all the
Right.
GameCube games.
exactly.
That's why.
Yeah.
with the
But
disc?
even if the
Yeah,
price
you can put the discs
wasn't
in.
that,
Plays GameCube
Oh, I
discs.
didn't know that.
yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I actually
I
still have
think
my
it's-
GameCube
I
games because of that.
I think it's funny because the Wii is having the advantage here, and it's not even because of the Wii U itself. It's
I
just
know.
because it plays the
Yeah.
GameCube games. Like
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
the
funny.
point, though. If you have to, this wouldn't be an issue in any other bracket, but when you're comparing the two together, unfortunately, you have to give it to the Wii.
Bob, any opinions?
Yeah, we do have to give it to the Wii
Mm.
because yes, I mean the Wii played all the GameCube games. Yes, you know the GameCube will always have a place in my heart because of Resident Evil 4 and the time I spent in that game. But at the same
Mhm.
time, with the Wii, you could play everything that the GameCube did, and you got to play Odyssey and Twilight Princess too, which were excellent Wii games.
And it had the virtual console store, which was overpriced, but you got to play some of the best N64 games and stuff as well. So,
Yeah.
in that
Okay.
sense,
Mm.
does everyone agree? I think we're 3-1 anyway, so
Okay.
it's up to Alakar
Yeah,
now.
I agree.
Okay, but
Oh,
with
I
all the arguments,
Mm.
I do agree with that.
I give it to the Wii also.
It's literally just
Yeah.
because of that reason. Like the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because when you said GameCube, okay, that's it. But then I forgot that the Wii U was capable of playing the GameCube games. I
Yeah.
just forgot
if it
about
didn't
that
have
fact.
that if it didn't have that
Oh, yeah.
that quality
Yeah,
to it,
exactly-
the fact that
exactly.
it could be backwards compatible, I think we would all choose GameCube because
For
I love the
sure.
Wii, like it was fun, but like GameCube was much like
So, you know how tempted I was to
It's
take
all
my
good.
my Wii apart to see what magic it used to feed in discs that were half the size of the slot.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
always been interesting to think about. Yeah.
I think the Wii's ugly though, as a console.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah, are
refine
we
it
going
later
to
on.
discuss about the
it
appearance?
did have
God
a
damn it.
it did have a mini version. I don't know if you've seen this. A little Wii, and it was
Some
about that
people,
big.
I don't know.
But they took out the backwards compatibility on it, so it wasn't as good, that version.
I didn't even know there was a mini version.
I just loved how the Nintendo Cube looked. Like I just thought it was so cool. I don't know. I just did.
It was
Oh,
indestructible as
and-
well.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that. Like I just a little fun fact. Like I don't know if you guys ever watched X Play or what was that? It was on G4 back in the day. They did that. They had that one episode I remember where they did like a destruction test of like I think at the time it was Xbox 360, GameCube, Nintendo 64, and they would literally just like stress test them, like throw them like off of like 20-foot story, you know, like whatever, just drop, hit them with a sledgehammer, and I think the GameCube won because it like they literally hit the GameCube with a sledgehammer and it still
Wow.
worked. It still ran the games. It was so insane. I was like,
Impressive.
what? Yeah. Another reason
Yeah,
why
that's
the
it.
GameCube would win, but
The GameCube
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
handle on it. It was meant to be toted
Yeah.
around.
oh
yeah,
yeah,
it was like a portable almost.
It also supported 3D, but they never implemented it.
oh wow,
Yeah,
Oh, man.
there is a version of Luigi's Mansion that is in 3D, and they use that technology in the 3DS, I believe.
ah,
Aren't you glad you didn't you didn't invest money into 3D TVs?
oh I actually did.
Well, I mean, invest like stocks or something. You know,
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh man.
I just need to be honest that the Nintendo GameCube was not very good, but it was better than the Nintendo 64 one.
Yeah.
Here's an improvement.
So the next bracket is a sort of a black sheep bracket. It's the Wii U versus the Sega Saturn. So two terribly performing consoles that both died an early death.
Oh boy.
What do you think on this one, Bob? And I'm going to go quiet from it because I'm sort of dying, as you can probably hear from my voice.
You know, I didn't have much experience with either one of them, but the Wii U, it seemed to me like that was a stepping stone. It wasn't a new generation for Nintendo. It was their step to the next thing they were planning.
Yeah.
And the Saturn never really had the software support that it needed. I'm going to give it to the Saturn because I think the Saturn had a lot more potential than the Wii U did for what the Wii U was meant to be at the time. And the Sega Saturn it didn't have enough games to really show it off. And it was much more capable than what we saw. I'll give it to the Saturn.
What about you?
Sorry, me? You cut off.
Yep.
I didn't. Okay.
about you?
Well, sorry, but I've actually never had a Saturn, nor have I ever gotten a chance to play it. So I'm gonna have to just go with the Wii U just based off of that fact. And then also like I actually do own the Wii U, and I actually like kind of like to KY Bob's point. I feel like it was like an in between the Wii and the Switch. It was like what gave them the idea for the Switch because it had that controller with the screen, and which was also a cool concept because not only did you use that for like the golf, for instance, where you could like literally the screen itself was like the golf mound where you put the ball, the tee, and then you could like literally use it to tee off, or you could literally use it to like play off the TV screen and on the thing. If someone wants to use the TV to like watch TV or whatever, you'd be like, oh well, I have to stop, but I can keep playing. So I think for me, it's the Wii U. Yeah.
Fair enough.
What about you,
I'll have to
Alucard?
go with the.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, Lucard. No, no
Well,
worries. Go on.
Unfortunately, I didn't have either console, but I know about Sega Saturn more than about the Nintendo Wii U. Sega Saturn had a lot of ports from arcades, and they had a lot of fighters, a lot of like other just popular games from arcades. So they had it's kind of like a different fan base. But I'm a Sega fan, so I'm going with the Sega Saturn. And the Wii U, like you're saying, it was just like like a half step. Like it's like people thought it was just like an add-on to the Wii. Some people didn't really realize what it was. So, but yeah, Sega Saturn gets the win.
Fair enough. For me, I have to be honest. I never had, never owned, and never played Saturn. So I have to go with the Wii just because of that.
Oh, so I'm the decider this time. So I've owned both of these. The Saturn was okay. It played like shit a lot of games. It was a good idea. It just they didn't put the right technology in it, and they didn't use it to its full capabilities, in my opinion. And the Wii U was a really cool idea. Just that was another one like the Switch. It wasn't fully implemented. But I'll go for the Wii U because it had that game where you chase Mario around, and that was bloody hilarious. Playing that
Just
like,
because of one game.
Yeah.
No, there's a few other games that I really enjoyed as well. But
What about Panzer Dragon? Ah!
From a console perspective, though, I thought the Wii U was fun in a group. The Saturn was that you were like, oh, you're the guy with the Saturn, are you? You didn't get a PlayStation. Your parents don't love you. Whereas,
Oh man.
yeah,
Like I like
Think about
how
it, though.
I like how Bob, when he was talking about the Saturn, he made so many good arguments and points because he experienced the console, and he said I have to, because of that I have to go with the Saturn. And then Nash comes here and I'll go with the Wii U because it has one game that I really loved. Like holy fucking shit.
Now, there's other games. There was that Zombie U, which is now out on other consoles, but that was really fun.
Yeah.
It did have some really cool games, but the Saturn, the only good game I played that wasn't a multi-platform game was the firefighting game, like the Future Firefighters. Can't remember what it was called, but it was fun. But in the UK, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the same in America.
You know the
all the
Sega
cases were like crappy cardboard on the Saturn. They were horrible
Panzer
things.
Dragon!
So the
Dragons came from the UK. How can you not like dragons?
Sega Saturn kind of like was implemented a little bit with the original Xbox. Like they kind of like started bringing their games there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. There was some good games, like say Panzer Dragoon was one of them. But most of the the multi-platform games were terrible. Resident Evil was worst on Saturn, and it was horrible. The pad was horrible. It was overpriced, and it's still terrible to this day. Like I say, I had one a couple of years ago, and like I say, it's horrible. And then the cases, like I say, flimsy, crappy, plasticky cardboard things that like degrade. Give us it in plastic.
Damn.
Destroy the environment, but don't.
Sure,
give
it's
us this crappy
collectible, though.
cardboard. Oh yeah, honestly, it's super collectible. It's super. It's not a bad console, but if I had to vote one or two through, I'd vote for the Wii U. And I know the Wii U will probably get knocked out in the next round, so I don't feel bad about it. So, it's just life.
Sorry, Bob.
I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry. To be fair, we've probably really upset someone by voting the Switch out in the first round in the last pairing. So, I mean,
Oh yeah, you can be sure.
I mean,
of
we
that.
can't, you know.
Isn't there?
Can't make
a
everybody happy,
YouTube
you know?
Isn't there a Normal Boots YouTube channel with called Madness where they do a
Yes.
bracket?
Yeah, I
This
used to
is just
love
like
that.
madness. This is pure madness what we are doing here because holy shit.
Don't tell people what I've been watching over the last year to get ideas for a podcast episode.
Let's do this all the time.
This is what I wanted to do on the YouTube channel for years, and then I thought, Joe, what, we'll do it on an episode of the podcast. So,
it's just fun.
it's more fun than doing boring news about fanboys crying on the internet every week, isn't it?
Exactly.
Are you saying that you are not happy with the way that we do the podcast?
No, I love the podcast as it is.
That's
but
it. It's confirmed. The host hates the podcast. If you like it, fuck you.
but
I think it's nice to like change it up a bit every now and then. You know?
it's nice to like.
For sure.
We go that much off topic. I thought let's do something where we can just banter.
Yeah.
Because we
That's
do
what
it
we love to do.
anyway. So yeah,
I
exactly.
do agree. I agree with that. Just like
And we're
we're
very
going to do
passionate.
with
Like when we talk about the news, we're just like, all right, we read through like an article and like, all right, this is what happened, this is what But then like when we actually get into like our opinions and stuff like that and like our passions, we're just like, yeah, like it really comes out. You can really tell that like we actually are excited
enough.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the fact that
facts.
E3 is approaching fast and we're going to be swamped with so much news, our eyes are going to bleed. I thought,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
have a bit of a break for a week or two and do some fun stuff. So the
The
next
E3 episode is gonna be
Sure.
6 hours. Saying it right
Yeah.
now.
we're going to watch every
You know,
single
Xbox-
trailer from start to finish.
Yep.
Xbox is doing their show again on a Sunday like they normally
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
which is one of the first shows. So they're gonna make your eyeballs pop out of your head and start bleeding, so you won't be able to see the rest of E3.
That's fine. I'm happy with
I'm
that.
ju-
As long as there's good stuff announced.
I have to be honest how I'm impressed with how we are going here, because like even on a off topic full episode we are going off topic. It's amazing. we have a huge talent we're to do that.
Yes,
Well,
somehow we did.
the next bracket is a bit
Somehow
more of a
we
tough
did.
one. It's PlayStation 4 versus the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh.
Which hurts me inside because I'll go first because I love the Dreamcast. I've recently just rebought one, as you all saw when I posted up excitedly that I'd got one, and it's amazing. It's got the bloody little VMU in it with the little games on. It plays basically like home arcade versions of like proper arcade games. It's full of stupidly crazy sort of like Japanese focused games, all those crazy over the top beat 'em ups and shoot 'em ups and all that sort of stuff. It gave us Code Veronica, it gave us Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, it gave us Sonic Adventure 1, I don't know if 2 came out on the Dreamcast, I can't remember. Yeah, it did, and then it got ported over to Gamecube, I believe. It gave us some fantastic games, but the PS4 is better. The PS4 has a bigger library of games. It has a really some of the best games of the last generation are on the PS4. It had VR, which was fantastic. It has amazing video editing software, which shits all over Xboxes and makes Microsoft look like chumps. It's not perfect, and there's a lot of issues with the PS4. But if I had to compare the two, the PS4 being literally like one of the biggest selling consoles ever, plus the fact that it had some really amazing games. I didn't really like the controller, and I didn't like the UI and the store. But in terms of its as an overall system, I think the PS4 pips the Dreamcast, should I say? Sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Who's next?
I can
I
go.
can go next. Oh, you
Oh, okay.
go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I once again, sorry, but this is another bracket where I didn't own the Dreamcast. I wanted to. A friend of mine had it, and I was very, very jealous because some of the games on there that I watched him play were like really fun. I got to play, a little bit, but it wasn't as like I had it in my house, so I could play it whenever I wanted. So I will be a little biased, unfortunately, but I am, so I am gonna go with the PS4. And basically for the same exact reasons that Ash mentioned, the games were amazing. I owned the PS4 Pro. I never had the original PS4. So I've only got to experience that console, but it's just an upgraded version. The two things that I want to just add on to Ash's list, other than the amazing games and the fact that it had a lot of good other features, I like the share play thing. I don't know if that's what it's called, but the fact that you could like literally have someone else play the game or whatever, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
While you're playing it. And then I think we all can agree, and I know you guys definitely feel more adamant about this than I do. When it comes to PS Plus and games with gold, PS Plus offerings are probably always 100 times better.
Yeah. One thing we must
So-
admit, though, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time. It did die early, but it was ahead of its time, and it had online play.
Oh wow, I did not even know that.
Yeah.
It had
Man.
online play and it had better graphics than the
Mhm.
PS2 and stuff, but
It had the online play. You could
Yeah.
play Phantasy Star online with the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
no, there was
Oh,
other
yes,
games. You could
thanks for
play
mentioning.
that
Sega
weird
is the
2D
superior
thing.
company. Sorry.
God damn it.
And the Dreamcast had a game where you
The-
had you fed a fish that had a human face on it with a microphone. You
Yeah.
talked to it, and it was
I'm
narrated
just-
by Leonard Nimoy. Now, if that doesn't
I'm just gonna put it.
blow your mind, then
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there like this.
Called
Marvel
Seaman.
vs. Marvel
Seaman,
vs. Capcom 2.
that as well, yeah,
That's
amazing.
it. That's it. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That's the game where that every single fighter gamer really enjoys, and
Mm.
it's their, and for most of them is their favorite of them all. So that game is just fucking awesome, man. I have no idea why they didn't decided to release it, especially after the failure that it was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite for some reason. But
Hmm.
like, and yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a game and that is good enough for me to say to vote for the Dreamcast. But like, if you compare it with the PS4 with some of their games, it's really difficult for me to decide, to be honest, because yeah, on one hand you do have a lot of variety on the Dreamcast, but not necessarily more variety on the Dreamcast, but more well produced and more epic games on the PS4. So I think I'll have to go with the PS4 on that.
What about you, Bob? Then I mean, obviously that puts the PS4 straight through anyway, due to it being 3 already for PS4. But
If
what are
Bob-
your thoughts?
If Bob
Well-
shows any arguments in favor of the Dreamcast that I think that is good enough for me to change my votes, I'll do it. Okay, simple as that. It's just because I don't remember
Okay.
all of it.
Okay. Now I have a PS4 next to me right now as we speak, and so
And a
Yes.
hammer.
I do
You
enjoy
can.
the games that are on PS4, but you have to stop and think. Okay, what? Yes, the PS4 sold so many consoles, but was that because of the PS4 or because of the Xbox's slump that they caused in 2013? Yeah, the PS4 made great titles and great sequels, or it made great sequels of game franchises that were already existing. God of War, Uncharted, another one that just completely
Last of Us.
yeah,
No,
Last of Us.
That's not a sequel. That's not a good sequel.
Well, you look at the
Boo.
so in its own right, it is a great console. But when you look at the Dreamcast, it brought online gaming to
Yep.
the forefront. It had Typing of the Dead. It had Virtual Tennis. You had Crazy Taxi 1 and 2.
Shenmue.
You had Dead or Alive.
Yep.
House of the Dead.
So
Those
good.
games are all unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the game dear to my
Seaman.
heart that started the cell shading craze, Jet Set Radio, was
Yeah.
on
Nice.
the Dreamcast.
Okay.
So yeah,
Seaman.
Jet Set Radio,
Totally.
Resident Evil Code Veronica, Marvel vs. Capcom, Phantasy Star Online,
Yep.
Soul Calibur, the first Soul Calibur.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
A real tournament was a real tournament Dreamcast game?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Unfortunately, there was actually Half-Life was on the Dreamcast. They just never actually shipped it out of the warehouse. It was finished, and it sat in the warehouse and never got a port.
Mm.
You can download it off the internet and play it. The full Half-Life 1 game does work on Dreamcast. It was
Look at the-
for some reason they cancelled it literally after it went to print for some strange licensing
But, like,
issue. I don't know why.
But like, should we take
And
that into
then-
consideration?
Evil PlayStation destroyed.
Well, technically, if you want
Sega.
the best thing about the GameCube over the PS4 is it's got no copy protection. So nowadays, you can literally just burn any game onto a CD, and play it on your Dreamcast, so you don't have to spend the hundreds of thousands that it would cost to get all these amazing games. I don't support piracy, but when it comes to dead games that they don't make new anymore and that are hundreds of thousands, like stupid crazy money, and they won't release them as ports on any other console, then it's for game preservation. So in that sense, the you're winning us over, Bob, but the Dreamcast in that sense is awesome. Plus, it had that giant keyboard. Did anyone have the controller with the keyboard in the middle? That was about that big.
My god!
It had a full
also
keyboard in the middle of it.
We had
Sega's
4x4
Sega's
Evo
always
that started
ahead.
on there.
Sucks.
Okay,
4x4 Evo, the Arrow Wings flight simulators.
Okay, that's it. It's done. Bob, you did it. I changed my votes. Dreamcast. That's it.
Sega was always
I-
ahead in technology. I'm telling you.
I don't know. Dreamcast, it could have been a pinnacle point for Sega. Instead, things didn't go right, and it was the death of Sega in the console market.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm still sad that when they went to Microsoft and went, we want the Xbox original, we'll support it. We want you to make it so it plays Dreamcast games. They said no. How stupid is that?
Damn.
Yeah, that's
They didn't want that.
really
They didn't want to be tied to Sega, which I
stupid.
assume. But what a shame, because that would have been amazing.
For sure.
I would have done it
For
now.
sure.
Yeah, I bet if Sega went up and went, we'll sell you our entire Dreamcast library, all the old Dreamcast games. What do you say?
I'm sure
I
they
bet Phil would be like, right, hang on.
Oh hell yeah,
Slap his wallet
exactly.
out.
How much you want?
Yeah.
Remember,
price.
Aaron Greenberg has been releasing some Instagram stories with headshots. Okay, so that's it.
So, what are you going to go for then, Alucard, and why?
I'm gonna go with Sega Dreamcast because they're ahead of tech. They were way ahead of their time. Almost every single console. So the Dreamcast had it all. You know, they started basically online gaming. They had Seaman, which is basically like AI. Like that game is so weird because it looks like a fish but has a human face on it, and you can
Sounds
talk
weird.
to it.
Yeah.
And it actually it will remember things that you said to it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
seen that. You had to get a microphone attachment, and they brought sequels out for it and everything. And it was weird. And Leonard Nimoy talks, like introduces it and explains what's going on. It's the weirdest game
Oh
ever.
man.
It's so
And
weird.
like it gets depressed, like if like and it asks for food and stuff like that. and, like,
Tamagotchi?
that's weird, man. But I
The
don't know,
early
like,
iteration of
you know,
Tamagotchis?
the PlayStation 4, it had like great games on it, but the Dreamcast was actually like trying to like change the gaming world, and I just don't think the PlayStation 4 did that. But
Mhm.
when you
Yeah.
come out with when the Dreamcast had some crazy ideas, and maybe it was too crazy, and maybe the controllers were really expensive because they looked expensive to make. So I give it to the Dreamcast.
Right, Dreamcast goes through. I'm happy either way with that. Like I say, a Dreamcast I love. It's a good. I never had it enough to at the time to love it. I didn't get it when it first came out. The PS4 was sort of like my main console for the majority of last gen. I played Xbox One at the beginning, got PS4, and then I got an Xbox One X towards the end of the generation and jumped back in. I just sort of fell out of love with my Xbox One. I did not like it originally, so that's why I'm a bit more affiliated to it than the Dreamcast. But the next pairing, this is one of the hardest ones, I think, in terms of they both deserve to go through, but it's the easiest one for me to just give the answer. So, Xbox 360 versus PS2. And for me, it's Xbox 360 because, other than it being my favorite console of all time, which is kind of biased, but it pinnacled of multiplayer online gaming, LAN parties. I like to say this is like I had a shop and we had
Halo
we had
3.
yeah
Halo
we,
3.
we had LAN, we had a
Yeah.
whole LAN in the shop set up, and we did all nighters, and we did like launch parties, and we did like so much multiplayer, Gears, Halo, Forza, Midnight Club. But then some of my favorite games of all time came out from the 360. So you got Dead Rising franchise, Left 4 Dead. What was the other one? Alan Wake. This Fable. Like obviously Fable came out before the 360, but it got better on the 360. There was the Fable 2, Fable 3, but it was still good.
Well, it got the anniversary edition
Yeah,
for
Fable
Yeah,
as
Fable
well.
1.
And I love the faceplates. I love the blades. I don't particularly like it now. They got rid of the blades as much, but the blades were some of the best UI ever made, and it was great.
It did have also backwards compatibility with the OG Xbox,
No,
with some of
with some of them,
their games. No,
yeah,
with some of them, not totally. Yeah.
But it had online, it had downloadable games, it had Xbox Live Arcade Summer, where you would get like 6 games for the price of 4 if you bought them all, and stuff like that. And there were so many cool little games brought out. It was sort of like the birth of indie for me. I went
Yeah.
to so many little indie games because of it. And there's too many to name. Forzas, there's just so much. Now the PS2 is amazing, and it's got some of the best games ever. But I got a GameCube instead of the PS2, so for me the GameCube is that generation console for me. And then I got a PS2 later, so I played the PS2 at a friend's house all the time with like Tekken and stuff like that. Devil May Cry, but I like it and I love it, and I'll always go back to playing Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and like odd games like that. But if I had to pick one, it's got to be the 360 because it just means too much, and it was literally sort of like the thing that got me the most into gaming in a long time. And I've still got a 360. I've got 2 actually. I've got an OG one, and I've got the Star Wars one, and the slim version of the 360 is immense. And it had Kinect. People don't like Kinect. People do. The fact that it has it isn't a negative. It's just more games. Some of them are really good. Some of them are shit. But
Yeah.
some of them are great. The couple I've played that I've got. It's just there's so much, and there was such a variety, and it was such a golden era of Xbox that I hope we eventually get back to. Imagine that the Xbox 360 if it had Game Pass. Just oh my god, it would have been
Wow.
fantastic. But
Oh.
so for me,
Okay.
it's 360. I've talked too much. I'll pass it on to you, Fabio.
Okay, actually, to be honest, that was a really beautiful speech. Does anyone disagree with anything that he just said? Or
Nope.
should we just move on? Because
He said everything the way I would have said it.
Pretty much.
yeah, that's it.
The only,
Like,
the only thing that
Ash,
like I
Ash, what arguments do we have besides saying that the PS2 was really absurdly popular, and that's it?
Yeah.
But
To be
There's
fair,
nothing to
the
it,
problem
yeah.
with the PS2 as
it
well.
does have it did have good games, and it
Yeah.
was amazingly popular. But the 360,
Yeah.
with everything that you just said,
The
There's
PS2
no
had
arguments
amazing
made.
games, but the
Yeah.
best games on the PS2, the majority were sequels to PS1 games, which I have more affinity with. Do you know what I mean?
the only thing
There's-
that I want to add to make the 360 look even better, well, a couple things. For me personally, it was the first console that I bought with my own money once I started working, so that was also one of the reasons why it was special to me. It introduced me to achievements and introduced me to my addiction of achievements.
Yeah.
Another thing was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that the PlayStation 2 had only 2 ports for controllers, right?
Yeah, but you
Whereas
could
the
buy the big fat
360
multi-tap.
Right, exactly. But what I'm saying is, so the 360 was able to connect up to 4, just like
Yeah.
without anything, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the PlayStation 2 only had 2, and you had to buy the multi-tap to increase it to like 6 or 8 or whatever. So that was
Yeah.
kind of a letdown. And then now the PlayStation 2 did not have a hard drive, but the 360 did.
Yeah, but
Right?
there's nothing that beats a good memory card with a sticker saying what's on it though. You've got,
I
but
mean,
and
that's
also,
to each their own. Yeah.
there are negatives for the 360. When it
course.
originally launched, there was 2 versions.
had no
One
hard drive.
didn't have a hard drive.
Yeah, the arcade one. Yeah.
I had to get that because I'm the same. I bought the 360. It was like literally my first console I bought myself, and I couldn't afford the one with the hard drive. I just bought the hard drive later, but I
Mm.
couldn't get one. And Red Ring of Death. I've lost 2,
No.
3 consoles to Red Ring of Death. Now,
Yeah, for me it was just one.
Mhm.
to
Thankfully.
be
For
fair
sure.
though, it's because I had a shop and I used them a lot. But my actual core console was did die on me at one point. I was gutted, but I can look past that because I looked to the slim. That if there wasn't a slim and it was just the old fat one, it may sway me a bit more to PlayStation 2. But the slim model of the Xbox 360 it's probably the sexiest console I own. It's so
Oh, yeah.
nice. It looks amazing.
Sleek.
It was the
Very
last
sleek.
great console before they started becoming boxes and just bland. Because the PS3, the PS4, the Xbox, they're all just squares and just crap or ugly. So
PS4 is more like a rhombus.
yeah, nothing
So-
beat that reveal where they pulled the out of the middle of the Xbox 360 original, and they had the slimmer E3 underneath it, and they went woof, and there was the slim 360 underneath it, and you're like, damn, I need to get that. So
And then
the
the other thing-
360
Yeah.
had interchangeable faceplates.
yes,
Right, yeah.
that
I
Dead
just mentioned
Rising
that,
one I used to have was amazing. I loved it.
I have the Unreal Tournament one here sitting next to me.
Nice.
And I think 360
Yeah.
was also the first console that allowed you, and I'm pretty sure this was like a end of the cycle, like end of its life edition feature, but it had the ability to support external hard drives.
Yeah. You could back
Yeah.
your games up onto it as well. I know other consoles allowed
Yeah.
that, but you could back your games up later in the generation to the hard drive itself, so it didn't
Mhm.
spin the disc up as much, and if you had a scratch, it wouldn't matter as much.
Right. Right.
And
Like-
it also had Netflix and media apps. It was one of the first consoles to have all that, so it got to the point where I didn't have to put DVDs on. I didn't
Party
have to swap.
Watch,
Yeah,
the long lost,
long
long lost
versus
feature.
100, all that sort of cool stuff. Avatars.
Like for the 360, one thing that I would like to about the games is that for those who don't know, my favorite game company is Rare. That the ones known as Rareware. And the 360 era was the era where Rare was having most work. They were having more variety with their games, and Xbox was making them do good games. In my opinion, those are good games. You can hate Cameo, you can hate Perfect Dark Zero, you can hate Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. I'm good with that, but I like those games that I actually don't care about if they were massively hated. I really enjoyed what they did with Rare during that era, but I do hate what happened during the end of the 360, which was their focus on Kinect. Just wanted to point out that because
Yeah, they
Yeah.
started having them focus on avatars, Connect, and just all those like weird, like basically no games. Just like focus on these features.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like for one, they bought Rare during the OG Xbox era, and then we had 2 games for that console. Then with the 360, finally you can truly make games for the console, and they made loads of it. Not necessarily just like with Nintendo, but they did make way more than with the other times. Perfect Dark Zero, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. You do have what is the name of it? Jetpack Refuse, Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise. You do have a lot of good games and a lot of variety and creativity. And then the only downside that I have with that is with the Kinect games that Rare made, because it made for me those games they are good Kinect games, but they are not good Rare games. It lost their identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're only just starting to get that back now.
Yeah, finally, with Sea of Thieves, Rare Replay, the new Battletoads Everwilds, we are finally having Rare back into being Rare.
Yeah, like I say, the 360 is by far not it's my favourite. I wouldn't say it's in terms of all the issues it's had, it has a lot of negatives, but the positives highly outweigh it in social and enjoyment factors and stuff like that. I mean, if I had to sit in a room and pick a console to play on, 8 or 9 times out of 10, I would go for the Xbox 360 over the selection.
But that's the thing. There's no discussion with this this pairing that we had. There's nothing to discuss. That, do we all agree? The 360 can go. That's it.
I have just one thing to say, something that hasn't been mentioned by anybody yet. The PS2, it appealed to the casual gamer more than anybody else, because what did the PS2 do?
Play DVDs.
PS2, yes, it was a DVD player too. So how many people had a PS2 that all they ever did with it was put DVDs into it? Because at the time, DVD players were holy shit expensive.
Glorified DVD player.
Yeah, I remember getting a PlayStation 2, like, I think it was for like my birthday or Christmas, and I had to do it because you could watch movies on it and play games. So it was like a family console, you know. My dad wanted to use it for movies, and he's like, "I'll just buy you the PlayStation 2." I'm like, "Okay." So it makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually had to get two of them because my first one broke. So I
the
had
PS2 Slim was awesome as well, though, wasn't it? You got to admit that was a sleek bit of machine. How small it ended up being. So
Yeah.
compared to the
I had,
Roach Magnet one, the big fat one.
the 360 brought me
Big buns.
Gears, which blew my face off. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit!"
Shall we go to the next bracket?
Yeah,
Next
so
part of the
360 sails through on its boat. Now the next bracket is the Xbox One versus the Super Nintendo, the SNES.
Mhm.
This is a tough one for me, so I'm going to let you guys go first, and I'll see where it stands when it gets to me. So, Bob, do you want to go first?
Sure. Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Any reason, or is it just the clear reasons for the Super Nintendo?
Like-
It's the clear reasons for the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was a 16-bit system that was far superior over the regular Nintendo Entertainment System. They got rid of, they were straightforward cartridges that just went down in the console. They didn't have the little push forward, push down. You had to blow on the damn thing 50 times to get it to play a game. It was just so much better. And the controller was a complete evolution with left and right bumpers, an X, Y, A, B button. I mean, there were just so many things done right with the Super Nintendo, and so many things done wrong with the Xbox One. I got to give it to the Super Nintendo.
What about you, Slayer?
Well, I think once again, I feel like I'm gonna be the only one that picks the more modern console, but I've never had a SNES or an NES, so for me it has to be the Xbox One. Like I will agree that I will
Slayer is
agree.
the only Xbox of the podcast.
No, no.
Xbox.
I mean, it's the only console that I've ever really owned. So I mean, like I'm not, I haven't been on this earth that long to enjoy those older consoles. I think that's probably the main reason why I haven't owned them. But
Me neither. I only have 24 years old, but still I managed to get it.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I
Mm.
I was never really interested. I don't know. I guess, like I said, my first console was the Xbox, well, the Sega Genesis, but like that wasn't mine. Like I only got that was pretty much passed on to me by my dad for like a little bit, and then I think my uncle wanted it, and I was just like, oh, whatever. So he just took that, and then after that it was the Xbox, the OG Xbox. So I am a little biased, unfortunately, but like I do love all consoles. I just if I don't have any experience with them, I don't have much to say about them, unfortunately. So I can't. It's my opinion, so I have to go based on what knowledge I have.
I totally agree.
You know?
No
This was going to happen, but this is why
we.
we negated the really old stuff to the point, because like I haven't, even some of the stuff I haven't played. So I thought, well, we'll just trim to what we know best, and obviously they had to be 16 for the brackets to work. So we expect that a couple of people won't have played everything. Alucard, what about you?
Well, sorry,
Man.
I just want to add, like I do understand, and I agree 100% that the Xbox One for a long time it sucked. Those early years it was just trash. Like
Dark
I have
years.
I
Really
have
dark years.
no problem denying that, but it's it's technically still it is last gen at this point, but it found its stride later on in its years, and I think and for me it's become my main system, so sorry, go on.
Oh man. Oh, this is a tough one for me because I think the Nintendo 64 was the last good Nintendo system. Because I didn't play much after the Nintendo 64. But the Xbox One, I got into that. I didn't buy Xbox One until 2017 or 2016, I think it was. So I didn't have it in 2013, and I didn't have a PlayStation until 2017. So it's like I'm kind of was late to the party. So, but since Xbox One has the backwards compatibility, and the type of games I played on it, but I don't know. It's a really tough one because the Nintendo 60 and the Super Nintendo was just so freaking good. I mean, I've had the greatest experiences on that console, So I think I'm
We're
gonna go
not
with
talking
Super.
about you. Yeah, we're not talking about the Nintendo 64. Just to keep in mind.
No, Super Nintendo. Sorry. The Super Nintendo was, yeah, it was like the last Nintendo console that I actually really liked.
Fair enough.
So I think I'm gonna go with Super Nintendo.
What about you then, Fabio?
Yeah, here's the thing. I do enjoy the Xbox One. I love how what they did during the end of this generation. And also I think that Xbox finally got back to its roots and finally got back up from the fucking load of shit that just happened with them when Phil Spencer finally showed up with their plans for the future of Xbox. And like with the release of the Xbox One X, that in my opinion is the best console of that generation, because the Xbox One was not very good, to be honest. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it when I had awesome times with my console. But when you make a retrospective of this generation of how clumsy Xbox went, and about their first E3 to show the Xbox One, and also closing and shutting down studios. We lost Press Play, we lost Lionhead, we lost a ton of games that and a ton of talents that would be really useful, and I think they would have loved to see how the Xbox is doing right now with all their pro consumer and pro developer thing. Way different in comparison with how they started. And the Nintendo does not just had no problems with that. Like simple as that. The facts are clear. So even though I do enjoy my Xbox One, I still play on my Xbox One X. I will have to go with the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my wife will be happy to hear it because that's her favorite console, the SNES. But if you look at them both, the SNES was the biggest console of its time. It gave us some of the best 16-bit games. It gave us like Super Mario World, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Country, all of them. And I can go back and play them. I mean, yes, some of their games weren't as good as the Mega Drives. Their ports, like the Aladdin, isn't as good as the Mega Drive, but it's an amazing game on its own, in its own right. It's a different game, but it's amazing, and we play that all the time. There's tons, and I agree with what KY Bob said with the controller is so nice compared to the original NES. And like I said, the Xbox One, I was all in for the Xbox One. I didn't even care. I was all up for going digital because I wanted to go digital, and I hated that outrage, the fake outrage. When we do it all now, that's literally the norm. They were just one generation too early. But the launch lineup was pants compared to what I was hoping for. the first couple of years were terrible. And like I say, I sold my Xbox One, and as someone who's a massive Xbox fanboy and sort of like in heart, like I love Xbox. I mean, I won't shill for it on Twitter and do stupid like idiot tweets. And I just think the Xbox One was awful. They lost their way. They got rid of like you say, they got rid of companies like Lionhead. They destroyed Lionhead. Rare was a shell of itself, and it did save its grace. The last couple of years when they finally got the One X, it went back up, but it was too late. And I have good memories of games on the One X, but I couldn't tell you what they are. Like now, if you told me to shout a game out on One X, I'd have to have like the Xbox One generation. I'd have to have a think. Whereas with a 360, I could name you game after game after game that I loved. So the SNES goes through.
Yeah, but if you compare with, like, for example, let's compare graphics. This is the SNES, always going up. This is the Xbox One. It starts going really down, and then it goes nothing, totally neutral, and then it goes back. It goes back up.
Yeah.
But it only starts to go back up at 2017.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Like, it just passed 4 years with strange policies, anti-consumer stuff, bizarre decisions by shutting down studios. Sure, we had games. I enjoyed the games that we had during that time. Records one of them. Rise Son of Rome, Red Dead Rising 3, Forza. I'm good with that. I enjoy Gears 4. I enjoy those games. But for them to finally go back up to a good state, and we finally have the Xbox that we always loved, it took them 4 years.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to make sequels too, so it's
that
terrible.
generation also had like it's very close list for me, but like that the Xbox One and X generation had like my number one all-time favorite game that came out on it. Now it wasn't a first party game, but also came out on the PlayStation, but Witcher 3, my favorite game of all time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did beat Witcher 3, so
I love that game.
I looked at it.
Awesome.
When I beat Witcher 3, I said only like 17% of the people that played it beat it or something like that. Like
I beat it like 100%. I didn't beat the DLC yet. I will.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's on me. I will admit to that.
I'll go
mistake,
back to the DLC when they give us some enhancements that they're going to come out with. Right? They're going to have like optimized for Series X version of it. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
But
awesome.
I put like over 200 hours into that game, and I love the hell out of it. So
yeah, it's great.
SNES goes
Super
through.
Nintendo. There it is. SNES.
So the next pair up, PS1 versus the OG Xbox. Now,
oh shit!
This is a tough one because I love the OG Xbox, but the PS1 gets it straight away because the PS1 birthed so many amazing franchises.
Yeah.
Like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. There's too many to name. Crash Bandicoot, Ape Escape, Spyro, Tomb Raiders. They all started on the sort of PlayStation, and that's where they got big. We got Final Fantasy like 7, 8, and 9. So and I love the original Xbox. The original Xbox has benefits. It could burn CDs to it so you could listen to your music. It had online play. It was the birth of Xbox Live. It wasn't anything like today, but it had it for like Halo 2 and stuff like that and other games. And it had some amazing games, but the PS1 has the much better lineup. And the PS1, you got that tiddy little screen on it as well. And you see when you went on holiday, you could stick the little screen on it and take it with you. For me,
I think it's like one thing that I think is really amazing is how every console, when it starts their first console, it is the console with the most variety. Because go back and compare the games on the PS1 and now compare with the games on the PS4 and PS5. And now go back and compare the games on the OG Xbox and compare now with the Xbox Series S, X, and Xbox One X. Like, it's really bizarre. What the fuck's going on? Why don't they keep that that variety? And yeah, the PS1 has way more variety and way more epic games.
Yeah.
I can just the game that for me at least that I just love on the PS1 that is just like, okay, it's a killer for me. Klonoa. That's it. I'm going to go with that.
So many RPGs, Bishi Bashi Special, so many stupid weird games. It had, obviously you could get the multi-tap for multiplayer. It came out at the right time, and it hit at the right point for me.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a lot
just-
of good games on the OG Xbox, but the majority
For
of
sure.
the ones I remember are multi-platform. They're not, and they were no better, because back then a multi-platform game was the same across the board. And well, I say that there might have been a few frame drops, but no one was getting in there checking like, is this Xbox game 1 frame better than the PS2? No one gave a shit. We just played games.
Yeah.
It was on the GameCube. So, and for me, the OG Xbox exclusives weren't as good as the GameCubes at the time, because I was into the GameCube then. And then the PS2 had tons of exclusives. The Xbox original had a lot of exclusives, but they didn't always appeal directly to me at the time. I mean, I love some of them now, and I wish I could play some more of them, but you've got to give it. I've got to give it to PS1 by far. It's an easy win in my opinion.
Like the Xbox, the original Xbox did have awesome games. You had Voodoo Vince, Fable, Halo, Fusion Frenzy. There are many more, and they
Forgot
were
about Morrowind.
very
Oh
for
hell yeah!
sure. Morrowind, for sure. You had Armed and Dangerous, for crying out loud. You had a ton of games that were not only creative and it had a lot of variety, but they were also a lot of experimental stuff. Let's see if this is gonna work. If it does work, nice. We can continue with a franchise. If it doesn't work, that's it. It's done. But the PS1 had way more of that because it was more popular and it was released on 1994, while the original Xbox was released when 2000, stuff like that. And yeah, I do enjoy the original Xbox and their games, but I gotta give it to the PS1.
What about you?
What about you
Alucard?
guys?
I don't know. Like I probably have to give it to the PS1, but it's actually, it can go either way, I guess, for me. But the PS1 just gave me experiences I've never had before, like ever, because it was like at that, like it was like the first time 3D games, basically like disc 3D games. So like like Final Fantasy VII, stuff like that. It was just like insane. Like I was like, I couldn't believe that this is something that you could play, So yeah, probably a PlayStation 1 would probably win it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Bob?
Yeah, it's PlayStation 1 for me also. Granted, the OG Xbox, it was LAN parties playing Halo, Master, Combat Evolved. Those were special times. But the PS1 introduced me to Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, Tomb
Hot Shots
Raider.
Go.
So many different games that were just amazing. So
Jump and Flash.
I never played that.
It's from the Robotic Rabbits, something like that.
Still don't know.
Parappa the
what you're talking
Rapper,
about.
Vib Ribbon.
Parappa
there's
the
so
Rapper
many.
is another
I
one.
remember Parappa the Rapper.
Monster Rancher, where you could put your CDs in to spawn random monsters. I remember. that.
Metal Gear Solid, goddammit.
Yeah, Silent Hill.
you guys
Racer.
You forgot
Resident
about
Evil. God damn it.
forgot about where my name comes from. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That's where Alucard is from. So that was a PlayStation
Is
1
it-
game.
Yeah, so
Was
definitely
that-
PS1
was that the
over
game-
OG Xbox.
Like, was that the game where your parents were thinking about when they named you?
Yes. Symphony of the Night is still, I think, one of my favorite games.
Wait.
Like,
Is that your actual?
For
That's not your
sure.
actual name, is it?
no, it's,
No, it
okay.
is. God damn it.
yeah. I mean, it's Dracula backwards, because that's his son. So he's like the anti.
Wow.
That's groove.
I never actually noticed that because I never really actually like.
Really?
Now I see it.
What it
Yeah.
is.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that game was so damn good. I mean, I don't know how many times I actually beat it, but it's just like you can play that game forever. Like it was ahead of its time. It was like
And all this
It's
time, I've been
nuts.
racking my mind trying to think of what an Alucard is, and now it's just why didn't I see that before?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never noticed it either. I'm telling you. Like
I'm
when he
ju- I'm
mentioned
ju-
it, I looked at his name and I was like, "Oh, I see it now." Okay.
I'm just loving it. Like, is that your real name? Like, what?
You should have watched the
don't know.
Castlevania. You should
mean, it
watch the
could be, why not?
Castlevania, the animated Castlevania show on Netflix.
Any
You
good?
should watch it.
Listen, that is not a very actual odd thing to say or ask because I don't know if you remember, but there was a story back on when during the 360 generation where somebody, a family who was like, they were geeks and gamers, they had a kid and they named their child Dovahkiin, and it was all over the news where they actually named the child Dovahkiin after Skyrim, and
Mhm.
Bethesda like found out about it and they actually
And
reached
sued
out to
them.
them. And they reached out to them and they said, "Oh my God, this is so awesome! It's such an honor that you love this game so much that we're gonna give you free games from us for the rest of your life."
For
Yeah.
child
Okay, I
abuse.
think I'm gonna do. Okay, maybe I'm gonna do that just so I can
Yeah, I'm
get
gonna do that
free
too.
games forever.
mean,
Yeah, yeah. My
Good
next
luck
kid's
now,
called
but-
what's it? Vault
I'm
Boy.
gonna call. My son's name is gonna be Doom Guy.
Doom Guy. Oh my God.
Doom Guy. I hate that that's what they call him, Doom Guy. I don't know. It just sounds.
What's his name though? Does he have a name?
Yeah, Doom
Slayer,
Guy.
I don't know. Dim.
Yeah, I think-
Roger.
I think he,
Roger.
Simon.
Generic
Right,
name.
boring.
No,
This is-
well,
Marine.
some
Is
very
that
generic
for me
name.
to-
Yeah.
in the
Uh,
game they
dude.
call him the Doom Slayer. So
To be honest,
Okay.
it's better for me to call him Doom Guy than Blazkowicz. So
BJ
Yeah.
Blazkowicz. Yeah.
What about you, Slayer? What are you going for? Not that it matters because PS1's.
Yeah, I know it doesn't matter,
Thanks.
but like, look. So I just want to preface this, and I kind of wanted. I
you
kind of
never had a PS1 and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need
No,
the
no, no.
OG
So, like,
Xbox.
I-
Okay, we get it.
Okay, no. I just want to say, like, if this is based on like what we owned and our own opinion, then obviously I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the Xbox. But if
No
if
worries.
I actually had those memories and I actually had those consoles and I actually enjoyed some of the games, I'm sure my answer probably would have been different, because like I agree with like some of the things you guys say. Like, when I hear, your guys' opinions, I'm like, okay, I mean, you guys make good points, but like it doesn't resonate with me because I don't have those experiences, right? So that's kind of why it's hard.
Yeah,
Like
no worries.
if we were going
No-
based
no
on like
worries, bro.
facts, then yeah. But yeah, and I also now I do want to say this because it is applicable to the conversation as a whole, especially regarding
Mhm.
PlayStation. I'm a little bit more into it now, but when I was younger, up until pretty much a couple of like maybe in my early 20s, I was never into anime. I don't know why, but it never really was interesting to me. I would always like, so like that's one of the reasons why growing up I never was interested in PlayStation, because it was mostly about anime games and Japanese games and all that stuff. So I was like always like, see, whereas Xbox was more like Western RPGs and stuff like that. So I was like, that's why it was more interesting to me. But yeah, so for the sake of this conversation, I am going with Xbox, but it doesn't matter because it lost. So.
Well,
But
now that's
but
next week's
no,
episode. Greatest animes bracket. That's gone down to shit now. You don't want to do it.
Oh man.
But Slayer, no worries, man. You don't need to justify yourself or your choices. We do understand. I was making fun of it, but please don't take it seriously.
No, I just
We
don't want
totally
anyone to think I'm a
understand
fanboy because that's what it sounds like.
you.
Or
Yeah.
No, it
But it's
doesn't.
you
not, like,
fanboy
for me, at
away.
least
You
it
don't
does.
you worry.
yeah.
To be fair, the Xbox. Do you know what?
God
The
damn it.
Xbox would have done way better it's just come up against like a powerhouse. There's like a few in this list that you're not going to win against
there
until the
were
end.
There were two consoles where for me where the OG Xbox would have lost the Nintendo 64 and the PS1, and then it just happened.
Gotcha. No. I just like I said, I just don't want anyone to think like not that I really like if you call me a fanboy, whatever, like it's fine. Like that's your opinion, but like I know that I'm not. Like I have a PlayStation, I play PlayStation games. I mean, I love Ghost of Tsushima, like it was an amazing game. But I just like we all say, my preference is Xbox because that's just the console that I grew up with, and that's what I have now, and that's what I mostly play on.
You heard it right now. Slayer wants PlayStation sponsorship for the channel. So, Jim, give us a ring.
Yeah, right.
Let's go, Jim. So, the final bracket of round 1 is PlayStation 3 versus the Nintendo 64. Fabio's disappeared. I don't know where he's gone. So, Bob, why don't we start with you?
I'm going to pick the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
What is it?
The
PS3
Nintendo 64
versus N64.
The Nintendo 64 was groundbreaking as far as platformers go. Super Mario 64, Doom 64, GoldenEye 007. The Nintendo 64 was just it was the cat's meow. I mean, it was awesome. And PlayStation 3 was an overpriced disaster with difficulties programming for a cell processor. I mean, let's just be honest. The 64 was a solid console. It took Mario someplace it had never been before, and it's never went back from that place since. So I give it to the Nintendo 64.
What about you, Slayer?
I have to agree. Once again, I didn't own a PS3 for one of the reasons that Bob mentioned. It was expensive as hell at the time, and I was not about to drop what was it, like $600 on a PlayStation 3. I was like, that's insane. And I had a 64, and I love those games. Like Super Mario 64. A lot of like this, like I said before, Mario Party. The Mario Parties were like my favorite on 64. That was like 64 and GameCube were when Mario Party was like that was when they were really amazing. After that, they stopped being good, unfortunately. It really sucks because I really love that franchise, but they just kind of killed it, in my opinion. But yeah, 64 for me. GoldenEye, amazing game. The 007 games were amazing, really fun. I can't remember what else I had on there, but I had like a lot of the Mario games pretty much, and then GoldenEye. So.
What about you, Alucard?
Well, I didn't have either console, but I played the Nintendo 64 at my friend's house a lot. The PlayStation 3, I had a friend who had the PlayStation 3, but he never played it, and so he never bought games on it. The Nintendo 64 goes with my vote. Because they had more games I was interested in. I hated the controller. I don't know what
everybody hated the controller.
I think
that's the only downside of the console.
I don't know what
was
that thing was supposed to be.
The middle claw.
The middle.
I wanna make you a question about this, like to you all. Like we had the SNES controller, and it was beautiful, amazing. It was just the perfect controller. That's it. What the fuck were they thinking when they decided to make the Nintendo 64 controller?
They all smoked a lot of grass and then went.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, like, what substance did they take when they thought about that controller, man?
Like, here's the thing. What are you smoking? Give me some and please fix this. God damn it.
I think I did own Nintendo 64 for a little while because I remember buying the wrestling games on there. It's like WCW versus like
NWO versus WCW. That was the WWF is it WWF No Mercy or something? The best wrestling game ever made, or something like that. It's amazing.
I remember playing the wrestling games and they were so much fun. I remember what's that one game where it's like a game show and I forgot what it was called, but it's like a twin stick shooter where you're in a game show and you just have to survive hordes of monsters. I forgot what it was called, but I just remember having so much fun on that console.
Nice. That's 3. So N64's through, so it doesn't matter what we pick, Fabio. But what would you have gone for?
Here's the thing: the Nintendo 64 was the console that marked, in my opinion, the golden era of video games. And it was the best era because it was more about it was the console that defines, in my opinion, to get alongside with Donkey Kong Country on the SNES. The Nintendo 64 was a console that defined for me that gaming was not about your high score. It was about the adventure. And it was just a really beautiful era with so many games, and the one that was leading the wagon was Rareware. You had Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye 007, Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, Diddy Kong Racing, Killer Instinct, Blast Corp, Jet Force Gemini. Like, how many games did I just mention, and how many different genres did I just mention? Like, this was the era where Rareware were considered the Beatles of the video games, because they could make any genre of game and it would be awesome. So there's no denial, there's no doubts that the one that is going to win this is Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I agree. I got a PS3, not at launch, I got the slim version, and it was a nice console. My issues with the PS3 are the UI, same with the PS4, because it didn't change a lot between them, and you'd buy a game on the store, download it, and then you had to install it after you'd downloaded it. It didn't just install it. So you ended up having like files all over the place.
That's weird.
It did give crossplay. You did get crossplay between the PSP and the PS3, which was nice. And there are some cracking games on the PS3, like Ni no Kuni, Little Big Planet, stuff like that. There were some new IPs that I really enjoyed on the PS3. Uncharted.
We had God of War 3 on the PS3, which is considered by many of the hacking slash fans the best hacking slash.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't own an N64 when they came out, and I haven't got one at the moment, but I have had one in the past. And it's got the smallest library of games of big consoles to get hold of. I think it's only about 400 games that it released. It's somewhat stupidly small. So for a collector's point of view, it's an easy sort of completion, bar the rares, to get every game. But yeah, like you've mentioned all the amazing games on there. It's by far it did fail compared to like the PlayStation, though. Like I say, the multi-platform ports were a lot worse on the N64 due to it being cartridge based, having less memory. Resident Evil 2 is one of them. It's a very trimmed down port. They've took out the compressed quality and stuff like that on videos and everything, but
not
the
necessarily
game's built,
all of them.
No, but they
because
don't run better on the N64.
Yeah, but I would say not a lot of them, because there's one game called Glover, something like that, that it was way better on the Nintendo 64 than the PS1.
Yeah, but it was a shit game anyway.
It was a shit game anyways, but
the games built for the N64, the exclusives, they can't be denied they're amazing. Mario Kart, GoldenEye, Rogue Squadron. I mean, it wasn't as good as Rogue Squadron on the GameCube, but Star Fox or Lilac Wars in the UK, there's nothing as good as them that compares on the PS3, in my opinion. The PS3 is a great console when you compare it to the slim version. Same with the Xbox 360. The original model is terrible. Same with so it's got to be a clean sweep for the N64. So that's it for the first bracket. We've now eliminated the Xbox One, the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, the GameCube, the Sega Saturn, the PS3, and the OG Xbox. So we've been quite cutthroat there, I think. not one last gen console made it through. As such. So
Yeah, because I think it's mostly because we have more founding memories with the
gen
retro consoles,
before.
and also because it had way more variety than what we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll move
Everything's
on.
better.
Yeah.
Everything's better royale.
It's not even that. The
Facts.
games have gone the
Facts.
way they're not simple anymore. You could literally chuck a game on and you just played it. And nowadays it's got to be a masterpiece. It's got to be AAA. It's got to be photorealistic, and they're not allowed to fart in the wind and shit. And the leaves have got to move every step you touch. It's stupid.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but like maybe I'm the only one that feels like this. But some games that like there's days where like in the past I would like have like only an hour, let's say, to play, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I could play this game. Now it's like when I think about it, like, oh man, I actually kind of don't want, like, I kind of feel like I need more, at least like 2 to 3 hours to actually sit down and enjoy like a game.
Yeah,
you know,
where
like,
you would just flick your PS1 on and just have a quick bash and switch it off. Yeah, I totally agree. We'll start on bracket 2. So this one, Mega Drive versus Wii. I'm going Mega Drive because it's just the best. And yes, I know that we had this whole discussion about the Wii has GameCube games, but the Mega Drive's still better. If it was a GameCube, I would vote for the GameCube here. But because it's just the Wii, I am literally voting the Mega Drive now because the Mega Drive was the better console than a Wii itself. So very odd logic, I know. As soon as I was like, yeah, but the Wii's better than GameCube. It's got a GameCube included. But
I could I could say that for this. I could say that this for this round 2, the second round of this bracket.
Flies.
What's going on?
I'm getting attacked by a fly.
It's this PlayStation fanboy.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna do my.
It's the dragon
I'm
from
gonna do
Panzer
my
Dragoon.
best. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best British impersonation. I believe the Matt system is better as well.
Yep. Mega Drive, it's best.
But like, here's the thing. I think it's for this second round of this bracket, we need to take into consideration the true qualities of the console, not just something that is a merit of the older console, because the Wii just went to this round just because it played GameCube games.
Yeah, no, this is what I mean. The Wii wouldn't have got to this round if it hadn't gone up against the GameCube, in my opinion. But when you've put them both next to each other, you can't vote the GameCube through and not the Wii. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But in this round, fuck the Wii. The Mega Drive's going through, getting my vote. Because...
I'll have to go. This is going to be quick. I had to go with the Mega Drive, to be honest. Yeah.
What about you, Alucard?
Man.
Alucard is disgusted.
I don't know, man. Like, I personally, Nintendo Wii, I was just like, what is this? Like, like, I don't know. I mean, I was not into like motion control games or anything like that.
Wasn't the Wii the first console to actually have ATI graphics instead of what everybody else always went with for years, which was NVIDIA?
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me. I remember going to a midnight with an ex. They wanted to get a brother a Wii for his Christmas present, and they queued up at Toys R Us at midnight. This is just after launch, like in that period between launch and Christmas of that year. And they queued up outside Toys R Us, and then after about an hour, this is at like, 10 to midnight, they came out with these bits of paper, and they're like, if you want a Wii, we've got some. We've got like 50 consoles. But you've got to buy them in these stupid bundles. And all the bundles were like 8 games, and there was like Zelda, and then like 7 shovelware titles like Match the
That's what I was
Fruits.
I was about to say the shovelware for the Nintendo Wii is really bad.
Yeah, but they were only selling them in bundles in the UK when it first came out, because it was like Gold Dust, and it was like 3 times the amount. And they literally, he was playing it on like Christmas and after Christmas, and he played Zelda, and that was it. Nothing else got touched because they were all shit. They got played for like 2 minutes and then got chucked on side, never to be played again. I always thought it was funny, but I could never get on with a Wii remote, especially even with a gun and everything. And then your granny, everyone's granny were playing it with the Wii Fit boards and stuff. And you're like, Nah, mate. Nah.
Like a Mega Drive is just, or I call it Sega Genesis because that's what we had. It was just one of my favorite consoles, man. Like I love it so much. The games on there were just so much fun, and I had. I'm biased once, because the memories I had as a kid, and it seems like the generations. It's like as you get older, you're not like as big as like, you're not like shocked as much as you used to be when you were a kid, and you went from like Nintendo, regular Nintendo, so the NES to Sega Genesis. You're just like, holy crap! You couldn't believe the differences. So that's I mean, I have such good memories of it, so I chose the Mega Drive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that console, man. That's great.
Slayer, any opinions?
Well, I know that I think you guys already decided pretty much based on your votes. But once again, this is gonna have to be just like based on my experience and how long I've had. Yeah, I definitely do not disagree that the Sega Genesis probably had way better games and was just a better system overall. But like I only had that system for, like I said, like maybe a couple months, whereas the Wii I had pretty much since it came out, and I didn't use it as much because I had my 360 and I pretty much like used that console more during that time. But between these two, I'll have to go with the Wii because it was the one that I've had the longest and I've actually played more than the Sega Genesis, and it was also one of the consoles that actually kind of brought my family together in terms of gaming. Whereas, because my parents, even to this day, are not interested in video games at all, except for stupid phone games that they play on their phones. And this was actually one system where we actually played like golf, and like I have so many good memories of like my dad, because that's actually how my dad and I like got introduced to golf. We just tried it on the Wii, and then we decided, you know what, this is actually kind of fun. Maybe we could actually like play it for real, and that's how we actually did one day, and we actually fell in love with the sport. And so yeah, for me it's the Wii because of those memories and everything like that. So
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's scratch out the Wii so we can go on.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mega Drive
Trash.
proceeds to the third round. So next up we have the Wii U versus the Dreamcast, and I think this is going to be another quick one. I'm going to go Dreamcast.
Damn.
Yeah. Dreamcast.
God damn it.
I don't even
Dreamcast.
need to argue. I don't need to argue. It's Dreamcast.
Like I think it's funny how like we are just waiting for us to truly extend discussions with more arguments for the final round, because for this second round it's just
The problem is, right, you've got to make all the opening arguments in the first round to sort of set the pace. But then we're now getting on to like we're waiting for the the semis, so we're just sort of cutting out the crap in the middle now. So I'm assuming everyone's saying Dreamcast goes through here. We're all good with that.
I mean, for me it would be the Wii U just because of all the other reasons I said before. I never owned a Dreamcast, but I know you guys won, so yeah.
So
Yep.
next up,
Dreamcast.
we have got the Xbox 360 versus the SNES. Now, a much tougher choice, but I'm still voting 360 on this one because of all the things I mentioned previously.
360 all the way.
So
Same.
360 goes through.
Alucard wasn't even able to give an answer.
He doesn't even need to.
Fucking
It
go.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know how hard it is for me to. I love both those consoles, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're both really good, but it doesn't matter what you pick anyway. Alucard, it's gone. It's
At
gone.
this point,
The SNES
yeah.
is dead.
We just make like a Super Nintendo Xbox or something.
They should. That's why Nintendo
Well,
needs to start porting the games. to
Remember,
everything.
have you ever
that'd be
seen?
amazing.
Have you ever seen the Nintendo PlayStation console that they made?
Yes.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah, the
Nintendo
original
came together at
PlayStation
one
was
point.
going to be a Nintendo console.
yeah. Nintendo made the PlayStation. Because they said no, and then PlayStation made their own console,
Yeah.
the PlayStation 1.
So at the last minute they dropped out.
So it's Nintendo's fault. Nintendo helped Sony kill Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Fucking
that's why I hate.
Nintendo.
That's why I hate Nintendo. Sorry.
We understand.
What's
buddy.
next on the list? We have got PS1 versus N64.
And N64. Sorry.
PS1.
I'm just gonna go. No.
Nintendo 64.
Oh god.
64 for me.
What?
Shut the fuck up,
What?
Ash. Shut the
This is
fuck up, Ash.
bull
Accept it.
Shit.
No. It
Bullshit.
isn't. Those are the facts.
No, the PS1
I mean, look-
is by far superior to the N64.
No.
I'm
no.
not saying that. For me, it's just I never had a PS1. That's all. So
God damn you all.
Fuck that controller, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the PlayStation had Dual Shock. It had Rumble
Yeah.
and shit. It was just
Yeah.
amazing, and it didn't need a massive bloody pack in the back to do it. It had the
Yeah.
best multiplayer. It had the best games.
if we were going based off of
Best
facts,
games?
then
The best games.
Yeah,
Okay.
the PS1 has better
Sure.
games than the N64.
yeah, if we were going based off of facts, I would have picked the
What?
PS1. But we're not. We're going based off of
Some
our
bullshit,
experiences and
okay.
opinions. So
I can
have
only
to- I have to go
apologise to our
64.
listeners for this bullshit.
Compare the era
I think
where
this is-
the Nintendo
this is a-
64 was released. It was revolutionized. It was
I want to
fucking
change my
amazing
vote.
when
I want to vote for the
I wa-
PlayStation 1.
Good man.
God
Uh,
fucking damn it, Bob. I hate you
This
so
is
much.
the time. This is the time where Ash wishes that we only were four of us, so he can make the
Bob,
final decision.
Bob,
I
Bob.
started thinking back to all the times I played the original Gran Turismos and the Tomb Raiders and
Oh.
all of the Grand Theft Autos, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas. If it wasn't for the PlayStation 1,
Think about it.
I don't know.
There'd
Think
be
about it,
there'd
If
be
it
no-
wasn't for the Nintendo 64, we would never have the games as we have now. The
Oh.
golden era of video game was what defines
Yeah,
what
the
we
PS1
have
era
now,
when it
goddamn
absolutely destroyed the N64. That was the golden era.
Wait, was
Bob,
wait.
Let me
was
put just a second. Let me put my hand on your shoulder, Bob, and let me say, you broke my heart. Okay.
Okay, I want to change my vote. I want to go back to the Nintendo 64.
Oh
my
my
God.
god! You
Some
easily switch.
bullshit.
Oh, I got a question. Remember they used to talk about like 16-bit, blah blah blah. PlayStation 1, what was that? Was that 60-bit or 100-bit or what? Do you remember?
32, no?
It was
32?
32.
32.
Yeah.
okay.
No, but Bob, go with what you think is best. No worries, I'm just kidding about it.
Well, I
If you want to go with the PS1, go with the PS1.
I got a little confused. I started I named off some PS2 games that which
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do
Like
with
Vice City
PS1.
and-
Yep, so I'm voting for 64.
Okay.
You
Is
dis-
that final,
you
or are you going to
disgust
change
me.
it back?
You disgust me, all of you.
no,
I'm
Dude,
disappointed.
you remember
I don't know,
Ocarina
man.
of Time? You remember those games?
Yeah, it's shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Spyro,
Whoa.
Spyro, Crash,
Whoa.
Crash
That's
Back,
the
Spyro on my
Crash Team
Xbox, dude.
Racing.
I don't have
Ladies and-
Super
Mario.
Mario.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the podcast. This is the end of the Xbox Live Party
It
podcast.
is. It
That's
is. It's just going to be me next week.
Only
Fuck you all.
you and Alucard.
Oh,
I don't know. The
Holy
Nintendo
crap.
64, the controller and the console looked like a toy from some
Yeah.
kid's toy box.
And to play some of the games, you had to
wouldn't
buy
you-
that
But
expansion
wouldn't
pack.
you say?
I mean, I don't base my decisions on how the console or the controller looked, though. I just base it on my memories of the games. And
Do you not remember playing your
Well,
N64 like that?
don't
Because
Understand? Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
trying to play it
Understand
on.
I'm choosing the 64. I love the PS1. I really do love the PS1.
He doesn't. He says
But I'm
PS
choosing the
PlayStation
64
sucks.
because
You Xbox.
damn,
It's tactical voting to get rid of the PlayStation
like,
early.
yeah.
I'm using the I'm choosing the 64 because the Nintendo 64 games are the games where when I thankfully can play them on my rare replay collection, I feel like a kid again. It's
Yeah.
just
Okay,
The
Ash.
PS1 is amazing, but yeah, I have to go with the 64.
You're
Won't
calling
change the
Fabio
game.
an Xbot, but if it was between the PS1 and the 360, what would you pick?
That'd be really tough, but I would go for the 360.
You
Ah,
Xbox!
there you go.
There we have it.
Disappointed in you.
All right. Listen. Okay,
Go on,
Bob's got
Bob.
something to say. Hear me out. Okay.
Oh.
I am indeed going to go with the PlayStation because of
Okay.
solely.
Oh my god, man.
Listen. Because of Silent Hill and Resident Evil, I'm going with PlayStation.
Dino Crisis as well.
I'm going
Okay.
with PlayStation.
And you had
Okay.
Tomb Raider, so you had like her
Yeah.
nice body, you know.
Do you,
A
do you
squares.
understand
As
that?
blocky as it was back then, yes.
Metal Gear
Do you
Solid.
understand that? Do you understand that neither console that goes through this bracket, I'm happy with it because I love both of them. But
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
vote is still with the 64. But okay, I'm good to go with the PS1. Is the one who is winning. I'm good to go with that.
I
Is
think
that
Bob
it?
wants the PlayStation 1 to go
Is
up
that-
against the 360. That's what he's...
Bob, is this your final answer then? Is it?
My final answer is the PS1.
Okay, so PS1 wins. Good.
And
Are we
all
good?
is right with the world.
Slayer,
Patrick, to
You're
get his
forgetting
way. We need
the
to-
classic
Slayer,
racing
we need
game.
to start a new podcast.
My Nintendo
Yeah,
64
start a new
next to me
podcast,
right now is
right?
giving me dirty looks.
I think we are getting fired. That's it.
PS1 had Speed Freaks, Muppet Race Mania.
I've
Like,
never even heard of those games or played them, so I don't know.
It's a
Banjo
Muppet
Kazooie
kart racing
is
game.
better. And
I mean, look,
Banjo
it sounds
Kazooie
awesome.
is
Like I said,
better.
If I actually played those games, I would probably have a different opinion. But since I've never had no experience playing those games, I
Right.
can't make.
We're gonna have
What's
to get
that
that
race-
sorted.
It's a shame.
What's
It's a
that
shame, you know.
racing game? What's that racing game where it's like there's that one with a clown car and they're crashing
Twisted
into
Metal.
each other.
Oh,
Twisted Metal.
okay. Well, I played that on PlayStation 2.
It's
So-
better on PS1.
I will. You guys will laugh, but like, remember I told you my cousin had the PlayStation 1, and I kid you not, the only game that I played on PlayStation 1 was the Tarzan game. That's my
Now,
only experience.
Toy Story 2 on the PS1 was good, but I think that was also on the N64. So
Yeah, I only played the Tarzan game. That's the only experience I had with the PlayStation 1, because that's the only game that he owned at the time that I actually got to try it out. So,
but
and I wanted one, but never got one.
Oh, Fabio's rage quit look. He's actually left chat. He's so upset that the
You know
N64
what?
has been deleted.
But you know what? Like,
Oh, he's
like
back.
Some
Oh,
of
he's
those,
back.
some of those PlayStation 1 games look to me. If you play them now, they look really bad.
Yeah, but the
I mean,
N64
of course,
looks worse.
They haven't aged well, yeah.
None of them have.
Yeah.
That generation is
Yeah.
that generation of 3D, like the Saturn,
Oh.
the N64, the PS1,
Yeah.
have all
Oh, it's-
aged like ass. They're amazing,
rough.
fantastic games, but all the faces look like melted and like. Have you played the
Yeah.
Harry Potter tie-in games? And you get there and like Dumbledore's like, and you're like, oh, why?
Yeah.
As a kid,
It's
you
all
know, you
like
thought
it's
it
all
looked
polygon
amazing.
shapes. Oh,
Yeah. And that Hagrid, and he looks like he's got something wrong with him. He's like, Harry, and he's like, what is going on here?
It's like that feature in Mario 64 where you could like move his face around.
Yeah, everyone
on the
looks
main
like
menu.
they've melted on the PS1. Like they've had some sort of accident in acid. They look like that guy who gets hit by RoboCop in the car and splattered just before he gets
Oh,
splattered.
Dude, that
That's what they all
scene was
look
the most
like.
disgusting scene I've ever seen when I saw that when I was a kid. I was like,
Oh
my
man.
I remember my
I
mum and
just
dad
want-
bought me RoboCop on video, and I must have been about 8.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I don't know why. I just
Oh,
remember.
it's
No, 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 no,
Like,
no,
that seems
no, no,
interesting
no,
for
no,
an
no.
8-year-old son.
violence is okay, but not nudity.
He was a
That's-
policeman. It's fine. He's a policeman.
Yeah, right. He's,
It's not
Yeah,
the
they
Terminator. He's
visualize
not a bad
everything.
robot. He's a good robot.
yeah.
Cyborg. I'll say
Yeah,
Believes in
cyborg.
justice. We want our
Shall
sons
we
to believe
move
in
on then?
justice.
Yeah. So that's the
we'll
end
be
of
here
that
for
round.
9 hours.
So
I'm just gonna say I'm still disappointed in you, Ash. I had high hopes for you, brother. That's it.
You rage quit just now, huh?
yeah,
Fabio,
you
for
rage
little
quit.
bit.
A little
There
bit.
you go.
Yeah, I did. No,
Like,
it was
fuck
the
this.
internet. It was the internet.
Uh,
But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I did rage quit, and then I thought, Maybe I should go back to that. Yeah, there we have it.
He went on Twitter to complain.
So
right.
Yeah.
our first semi-final is the Genesis / Mega Drive versus the Dreamcast. We've got an all Sega semi-final.
Holy crap.
Wow.
I am gonna go for the Mega Drive just due to the sheer amount of games and franchises it spawned. Basically, now the Dreamcast is awesome and it pushed itself at the time, but the Mega Drive had the CD add-on, the 32X add-on. You could get a Master System add-on for it if you really wanted. Do you know what I mean? You could
Yeah.
stack it like up here. It was great. And
It's
when
ridiculous.
you think of Sega, retro Sega, you go straight to Mega Drive. No one goes, "Ooh, I'll think of something on Dreamcast," or "I'll think of something like that." They go straight to the Mega Drive. The Mega Drive was the pinnacle of 16-bit gaming. It was the best. I had the best adverts, like where they're like Sega does what Nintendo don't, and it was all like edgy, and they were all like grungy looking teenagers playing it, and they weren't like happy families smiling all like fakely.
The adult
It was
console.
great. Yeah, it was aimed at like teens and stuff, and it was cool. Like, but
And Sega Genesis had blood in Mortal Kombat, and Super Nintendo did not have blood in Mortal Kombat.
yeah,
They had sweat.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
they did. It was in the Super Nintendo. It was sweat. And the
Yeah.
only difference in the Genesis version was it was colored red sweat to make it look like
Yeah.
blood.
Hey,
So if
it's
someone's
sweat.
head gets decapitated, it's just sweat.
I don't
And
know.
it
I
had
don't
Shaq
remember.
Fu as well.
Yeah.
The one of the
Wait,
worst.
doesn't that
games
get
ever.
released on Xbox?
No,
Recently?
a remake.
Yeah.
It's like a sequel.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
okay.
exclusive. No, I was kidding.
So, what about you, Fabio?
I gotta go, to be honest, I gotta go with the Dreamcast mostly because of Marvel vs. Capcom 2
I
and Soul
agree. It's a
Calibur
tough
1.
one. This. It's a tough one.
So I
Yeah.
have to go with that because both of those games are just mind-blowing games when you are talking about the fighting game genre. So yeah, my vote is for the Dreamcast.
Mhm.
My vote is for Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for me
Ash
as
is
well.
like a what? Sorry.
I said for me,
You're
it's
gonna what?
Mega Drive as well, Genesis, because
Okay,
I
it's just
played
because
Dolphin on
I didn't
there. I
understand.
played,
Great.
yeah,
Oh,
and Dolphin
Echo the
on there, I
Dolphin.
played-
Yeah.
yeah. I played the Lion King platformer, the
Mhm.
Mickey, a bunch of the Mickey platforming games. The Aladdin
Mhm.
platformer, that was a nice one too.
Yeah. Kid
Shit,
Chameleon.
this
Did you ever
is
play
a
Kid
tough-
Chameleon, where you got the little helmets and you changed into things?
Mhm.
No,
It wasn't a good game,
Man,
but it just
Oh,
it's
I
one of my
did-
childhood ones.
I did play some of those
This is-
old Batman games though. Those were really fun.
Yeah, with the batarang, it's like.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Man,
Yeah.
this is
It's all
this
kind of
is
coming back to me a little
really-
bit. I'm just like, oh yeah,
This is
those
really
games.
tough. It's a really tough pairing. Holy crap! What about you, Bob? We know
Sega
who
Genesis.
just won the Sega
Yeah.
Genesis. Okay.
They're both really
okay.
amazing consoles, but it's
Yeah.
like when you've got the Wii and the GameCube, you've got to pick one, unfortunately. Also, the Genesis had RoboCop versus Terminator, which as a kid I probably shouldn't have been playing, but is ace. And you're like running around as RoboCop and you shoot people and they just explode. It's mad. And then you had like
Yeah.
Michael Jackson Moonwalker, all those sort of weird games, NBA Jam, all the like football games and stuff like that, and the sports games that were all like.
Isn't that also
2D.
where that other basketball game got its start? The one that was really popular that had the really like upbeat announcer.
It's that generation. I don't know which console it was. It might have been on multiple consoles, to be fair. So,
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Which NBA game I'm talking about? The one where like they would like fly.
that's
like, literally
Jam.
fly
Yeah,
up.
NBA Jam.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Oh yeah.
He's on fire.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
You
yeah.
could like score from the other end of the court randomly.
Genesis had some really good arcade ports.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. They kept
So-
Double Dragon close to the arcade version.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So Mega Drive / Genesis proceeds. Right, what's next?
Yep.
It is the PS1 versus the Xbox 360.
I knew it. I called it. Oh man.
You
right, well.
fucking ass, bots.
Uh,
What's
Well,
your
Xbox
opinion?
360, it's got to be. And
Yeah.
it's only just, like I say, I mean, these are some of my top 5 consoles in no particular order: Xbox 360, GameCube, Mega Drive, PS1, and sort of like the current Series
Yes.
X. Yeah. So, but I'm not. So these are all tough, and some days they change positions. But I think the one I'll always go to is the 360 for the reasons I've said.
Oh.
But
What's your number one? So there is an
But-
order.
no, because it's hard to say, but the PS1 has some amazing games, amazing memories, but I've had better memories from playing the 360 than the like online multiplayer and that experience and all the new sort of things that generation brought in that weren't obviously just unique to the 360. Some of them were on the PS3, but when you put the sort of experiences with the games that were on the 360, that have become some of my favourite games of all time, I've got to go for 360. It's got Dead Rising.
Got it.
Dead Rising 1. It's makes me
So
happy.
number 1, 360, 2 to 5, all the other ones. Just at a random order.
Probably at the moment, yeah. I know. Do you know what though? It's hard because the Series X has crept up recently because it's just such a good machine.
Oh, I love this.
If I don't count the current games and I count it for a system and all the back compat, then it's up there. But if it was just the Series X and its own generation of games, then it would be like 5th, just because of how good the console is itself. But yeah, 360 for me. What about you, Fabio?
No, I prefer to be the last one on this.
All right.
Go on, Bob.
Xbox 360, hands down.
Oh wow.
What about you,
All right.
Alucard?
Xbox 360. I mean, I'm sorry, but Gears was just like, oh man. When I first saw that
Gears,
game,
Halo 3. Whew. Oh,
Halo
man.
3, Fable 2. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
yeah. There's
What about
so many
Oblivion?
games that,
Oh hell yeah,
Played.
Oblivion.
yeah,
Love that game.
yeah,
What
Gears
about
was
Skyrim?
something
Skyrim came out on
else.
360 first. That was an
Yeah.
amazing game.
Yeah. Fallout 3 ran
Mhm.
better on there than on PlayStation 3.
Yeah, same. Skyrim.
And
Blue Dragon.
Fallout New Vegas, like, oh,
I heard they actually had a
Gears.
lot of
Yeah.
they had a lot of trouble running Skyrim on the PlayStation for a long time.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah,
come out
yeah.
because of that. Same thing with
Yeah.
BioShock. I remember also had some issues. That's why it came out
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
Much later.
Bioshock. I totally forget about Bioshock when you think of 360 games, but
Mm-hmm.
that was a staple
Yeah.
of them for quite a while, wasn't
Yeah.
it? So
One of my
Yeah.
favorite games was Alan Wake, and I
Yeah.
just like that game. Oh, I still love that game, you know.
Yeah.
And was it Condemned? You ever play Condemned 1 and 2?
I played the demo of that. It seems so interesting. Darkness.
It's
Shit-
so
Also.
shit your pants.
cool. Condemned was awesome because you played as like a like an
Like investigator,
FBI.
like a crazy house, right, or something like that. Like
Well, you were like CSI kind of, like crime. So you would
Mhm.
investigate crime scenes, but there was like an epidemic going down in the city where people there was this like black slime that was like making people crazy, and like it was so good, man.
Interesting.
So good. Yeah.
Am I the only Darkness fan here?
no,
I
Darkness
played
was good.
Darkness. Yeah, that
What we
was a good
forgot to
one.
mention is Fear. I'm surprised Bob wasn't shouting
Oh,
about
yeah,
Fear.
Fear.
The Fear
Yeah.
series was on.
I got
Yep.
sad because I literally was only able to play past the first mission, and then for some reason my copy was defective and it
Oh,
didn't
God.
want to play past it, and I was just
Oh.
like, what the hell, bro? And then like I never I thought like it was just the game itself, so I never bought a new copy. I was just like, all right.
I remember Call of
That broke my
Duty
heart.
and Medal of Honor. Okay, wow, it was so cool.
What was that, Bob?
I said that would have broke my heart.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was pretty upset. I was like, all right, well, I guess this game is can't be played by me. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just not lucky.
But wasn't that the beginning of like updates and everything, right?
I think
That-
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
GTA
it's
4.
like,
A lot of memories with that game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
it's another whitewash by the
everyone-
looks. What about you, Fabio, then?
So I just wanted to point out that I don't have nothing to do with these guys. They are a bunch of Xbox fanboys. I have nothing to do with it. You just wanted to put the PS1 here to say that it's better than Nintendo 64 because you are full of shit. I hate you for that. It doesn't matter. The PS1 was amazing. It had a lot of variety. It had a lot of games. And because of that, I'll have to go with the 360. Fuck it.
So we
But-
come.
But that's a fact. There's no way for me to say that the 360 is not gonna win this.
No.
Yeah, especially because of all the
fair.
rare games on it, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
of course.
So
That's
we're
fact.
going into the final two, and I think it's going to be a quick final. And
Yeah, but
we're going to like a right
should
hypocritical.
we truly discuss this final round?
We should at least give it some slight discussion. So the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive versus the Xbox 360. Go on, Fabio. What are you picking? Well, Alucard's going for
Guess what?
Xbox.
Who is which console has rare games?
True. What about you,
All right,
Slayer?
Was
well,
it?
Oh, 360 for me, yeah. That was my favorite like memories of gaming ever. So
Yeah. It's just not the
I
same
was in
now
high
we're playing
school.
with Fabio. It's just gone downhill.
I was in high school, my friends and I would like come home from school and just like hang out together and play games all the time on 360, play Halo, and it was just good memories. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. 360, I think it brought people together, more than ever. It wasn't just
For
couch
sure.
co-op anymore. It's like you could do couch co-op, but
Yeah, I mean, I've
could
still
play-
got people on my friends list from the 360 day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, same,
yeah,
same.
Mad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I really wish they'd bring out full backwards compat for it. I'd be so
Yeah.
grateful because I love my
Well,
360, but I'd like to be able to not have to have it plugged in all the time. I'd like to be able
Yeah.
to play all these games on my new console because there's too many that aren't there that are just sat and sad. Do you know what I mean? So
Fingers crossed for E3. Maybe they make an announcement. For more games.
I hope so. I hope it's a big chunk.
Imagine. That would
be
amazing.
huge.
That would be
It's
Yeah.
really tough with all the licenses that all these games have.
I
mean,
don't
look,
get
even
what
if-
the license is though. Like, what's to stop them just flicking a button and making?
I mean,
the disc
certain
play?
games like music and stuff like that, but like,
Yeah, but they don't have to sell them in the store though. They can just let you use your
Yeah.
existing disc.
right.
This is
right,
what this
That's true.
seems to be the issue that's stopping them. Isn't allowing us to play them. It's allowing them to keep selling them once they make them backwards compatible. And to me, I don't give a shit whether you can buy it now or not. I just want to play what I've already got.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great that you're allowing
Yeah.
people to buy it, but what about all those that have got these discs already? We want to play what we've already bought. Not
Yeah, true.
so it's
It's
silly.
because
I mean,
it's emulating. It's an emulation. That's why.
Mhm.
You're emulating
mean-
the 360 on the Xbox. That's why.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
not
at
natively.
least, hopefully, they at least start to get back into it because they did say that, like maybe for the past couple of years they were like, oh yeah, we're focused on the Series X and the Series consoles, so nothing about backwards compatibility, but we're still going to come back to it in the future. So hopefully, this
Okay.
is the year where they finally announce something like, oh yeah, guys, we're going to start focusing on this again. Here's a new fresh batch list of games that you can now play on your new consoles and from the 360 and Xbox or OG Xbox. So
Fear one,
I would
fear
be
two,
great,
fear
you
three,
know.
fear files. Please, please, please.
That would be crazy if they figured out a way where you could just put any disc, any 360 disc in your Xbox.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they can.
anything.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
matter of them figuring it out. I think it's
Great.
just like probably just like I said, push like you said, push back from publishers and
Because they want
you
to they want to resell the same old shit again in a shiny new
Yeah.
packet. But like I
Yeah.
said, I feel like yes, there might be a slight emulation issue on some games, but they could literally work on that. Do what the PlayStation did. Said, well, most stuff works. If there's an issue, we'll look at it later. It's I get it in some aspects, but it's slightly anti-consumer in others. Do you know what I mean? I just wish I could play everything. Same with OG Xbox. Let me play them. Why are the games
Yeah,
that
I know.
Xbox owns? that aren't on the 360 and the Xbox on the OG Xbox that aren't on the Series X backwards compat. It doesn't make sense. So
Yeah, because
who
then you
knows?
could also stream them very easily, whereas if on the 360 you can't.
Yeah, I have to faff
So-
about with
Yeah.
a capture card, whereas now
Yeah,
for most stuff I just stream it straight to Twitch. So
exactly. Literally the other day I was playing Lost Planet 2 with my friends, and I was just streaming it from
yeah.
my Series X because it's backwards compatible.
Imagine if if the Xbox One games, not all of them were compatible. Just like a list with the Series X.
See, that would
Can you imagine
that would-
that?
Actually, but that's
That would
something.
suck.
Some of the Xbox One games are not available to play on the Series X because are the Kinect games.
They do
Oh,
work
yeah.
though. You
Well,
can play
yeah.
them. You just can't play them. There's no
You
connect to
can
make
play.
it.
You can play them, but you can't play them.
Yeah, you can put the
What?
disc in, I believe, and they'll
Ah,
work.
okay.
But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no way to actually control them. So
Unless they
But
have
what's the po- but what's
unless
the
they have like a
point, you know?
controller scheme to them, which
Yeah.
some of
No,
those do.
I wish they would make announce an adapter just like they did for the One X.
yeah, even PlayStation brought an adapter out for their VR and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's just a
there's
cable.
probably a
All we
third
need
party
is
one
one
out there, no?
cable.
Like
I'm sure there's
sure,
third-party options out there, no?
Sure,
I don't
it's not
think
gonna
there is at the moment.
be-
No?
It's not gonna be something that is going to be like popular, but I think it's good for the people that really enjoys those Kinect games.
I think they just
Yeah.
want to bury the Kinect and forget about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the idea.
When I was questioning I didn't have a PlayStation 4 when it first came out. What did
I just
everybody
noticed-
play? If there was no compat, like what did people play?
Just the new games that
Just
were
the new
available.
games that were
Yeah.
available. Yeah,
There
Yeah.
wasn't that. How many were there? Like
there wasn't a
Was
lot
that
of
launch?
launch.
no.
Yeah.
Most of them were, most of them.
I think it's like every
were,
like what, like
okay,
15 to
or
20, I think, at
multiplayer.
first.
Yeah.
Just like usually.
Actually,
That would have
during that time, I
sucked.
think
They got to
during
play
that time, I
Knack.
think most, during that time,
Yeah.
I think most of their games were the multiplayer games that were also cross-gen with the PS3 and the PS4,
Oh,
or
okay.
360 and Xbox One.
Right, so the PS4 launch titles were Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Battlefield 4, Blacklight Retributions, COD Ghosts, Contrast, DCU Online, FIFA, Flower, Injustice, Just Dance, Killzone, Shadowfall, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Knack, Madden, NBA, Need for Speed Rivals, Resogun, Sound Shapes, Super Motherload, Trine 2, and Warframe. So the majority were multi-plat. There was only a handful of exclusives, and they were shit.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to point out that again, we are losing the track.
Bob, what do
Like,
you think on this then?
is
What's
the
your
fu-
take
like,
on it?
This is the final round, and then we are just talking about everything besides the final round.
What is the final round?
Bob's dead. That's it.
It's Genesis versus Mega 360, but
Yeah.
everyone's voted
Mega
360 so
Drive
far.
one.
Okay.
But we haven't heard
Yeah.
from Bob yet.
360. It's 360. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot. I got a lot of memories with the Genesis, but they're my memories. I didn't share those memories with anyone else. The Xbox 360 is just the complete opposite. I got to share those memories with everybody else that I knew, and it was that opening experience of not gaming alone anymore that really it wins it over for me. I vote 360.
So you've
Bob
heard
sounds like
that.
he's about to
That
shed a
was
tear
beautiful.
there.
Yeah, he does have a
Yeah,
little tear
I
with
gotta
himself.
I gotta say that was beautiful.
So it's official. The Xbox Live Party
Beautiful.
Podcast votes the Xbox 360 as the greatest game ever, games console ever. And we are
Yeah.
not biased in
Call
any
us
way.
fanboys. Call us fanboys. But yeah.
But we all must remember the most important thing is the PlayStation 1 is better than the N64. And that was officially voted on. It's in history. It's in the record books.
Man.
We all agreed on it, especially Fabio. He was really adamant that the PS1 was better, and we're all happy now. So, yeah.
You just see Fabio take his laptop and throw it across the room.
Excuse
I
me.
still have my 360. Oh, there you go.
So we are good to go. The 360 is officially the best console ever.
Ever.
Right,
And if
did
you-
Phil drop that big bag of
if-
money off with you guys, or is it
And
coming
if
to
you
me?
disagree,
No.
and if you disagree with that, fuck you.
We'd
I
love
think I'm
to
getting
know
first
though.
dibs, and then I'll send it all to you guys after
Oh,
that.
thanks. But yeah, we'd love to know what you guys
Okay.
think, what your favorite consoles are. Tag us in some on Twitter in our conversations and let us know. Put it in the comments on YouTube. And like I say,
You
we'd
should
love
do a
to know.
poll on the Twitter channel.
I will do a poll. I'll put it up after we finish this episode, and I'll put like the top 4 that we voted the top sort
Yeah.
of 4, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Doesn't include the
Sounds
N64
good.
though, because that was shit.
those
But
were the
Damn.
PS1, the Xbox, the 360, the Mega Drive, and which one was the fourth?
Dreamcast.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, was
Mhm.
Mega.
Was it Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are the 4.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'll put that
fair
up.
enough.
Big thank you to you guys for joining. I hope people who are listening live and who are listening to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or whatever they're listening to it on, Google Podcasts, wherever you're watching this or listening to it, enjoyed this different type of episode. I've quite enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the sort of back and forth
For
instead of just
sure.
the generic news. We will be back next Saturday, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. I think it's 12 noon PST and 3 p.m. EST for you Americans out there.
Correct, sir.
And
America.
and 4 p.m. Brazilian time.
There you go. Coming again to save the motherfucking day now. That's the best film ever.
Oh no.
Matt Damon.
What is
that
happening right now?
so bad. I don't know what's going on.
Have you not watched that
Just say-
Team
just
America?
finish it.
Team America.
No.
Matt Damon. Oh, I can't believe you haven't watched Team America. It's great. Watch it. It's
I'm not a big movie buff, so.
Is that the one with the dolls?
yeah, it's the puppet film. That's made by the people that make
movie's
South
awesome.
Park.
Okay. I've seen the show, I think. They
The
had a show
sex
too.
scene was epic.
It's got Matt Damon in it, and all he says is he goes, Matt Damon! And he bangs his head on the table and stuff.
Oh. Oh, man.
What is
So
going on? Like
That's what
everything
Yeah,
America-
was
it's called
fine,
Team
but it was-
America World Police.
it's amazing.
I wonder how he
But, like-
reacted to when he saw that, yo. He
He probably laughed,
Like-
really.
Yeah, when
I
we
gotta tell you, like,
Americans, when we go to a bar, we drink and then we bash the bottle over our heads. 'Cause, you know, show how
like,
tough we are.
I had hopes this was going to be I had hopes this was going to be a normal episode till the end.
What's
man.
normal, though? What's normal to you?
Yeah,
But yeah, so
Yeah.
a big thank you to everyone for listening. We will be back next week. Let us know if you want us to do more sort of stuff like this that isn't just news based. Discussing what we've been playing, what the news is each week. Obviously, E3 is coming up, so we have got some stuff planned for that. We'll be posting up about it soon.
maybe
but
Jane is gonna join us next week.
maybe he's finally escaped
Hopefully, yeah.
Peppa Pig's clutches. He's
Yeah,
Don't do this.
But a
Oh,
big
yeah.
thank you to you guys for joining, being part of the panel, saying how the N64 is inferior to the PS1.
Oh my!
And on that
was
note,
that so personal?
it
Was that so personal? today?
is, yeah.
God damn.
And on that note,
God damn.
we'll all go home, enjoy our evenings thinking about the
Go
PS1
home?
being
I mean, I
superior.
don't know about you, but I'm out.
Well, if anyone's listening to it out and about, because that's what people do. They literally stop doing whatever they're doing to listen to this podcast.
Yep.
We are well renowned, and
Right.
Oh yeah,
clearly.
sure.
we've got physical credit. Look, we've just crowned the 360 as the greatest console ever. That's the
Let me turn around in my chair and I'm home. There you go.
There you go. We'll send them a plaque out. Phil can put it up on his shelf saying 360 is
right?
the best. He'll love it. He'll love it. He'll feel so proud.
Thank
Like a
thank you to Phil Spencer for sponsoring this episode. I gotta tell you, your
Yeah.
money did not affect any of our decisions. Okay,
None
I'm
at
gonna
all.
point out that.
I can't wait to see all the fanboys blow up when they find out the PS4 didn't even make it past the first round.
To be fair, I
Yeah.
posted
X-
and the Switch.
That-
Xbox One didn't either, so.
Yeah. So-
No last gen consoles got through the first round, but no one said anything.
What
luckily.
I mean, what is the Switch? Like, what generation even is that?
Technically,
Like,
it's classed as
I'm not
last
even
gen,
sure.
but
Yeah.
it's its own gen. Technically, it's in between. So, because the
Yeah.
Wii U
Yeah.
is technically last
Nintendo
gen,
has always been in between.
Yep.
they just
since,
like to
like,
be
the
special.
GameCube. Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time that they cared about power? That was like what, Nintendo 64, right?
No,
Maybe.
because they were underpowered.
No. What?
No.
Never.
No, I am a Nintendo 64 fan, but I have to disagree with that.
Never.
What?
Oh,
Never.
right. We're going to call it a day. We've been here, what, 2
Yes.
hours, 15 minutes now. Big
Yeah.
thank you to everyone. If you've got any suggestions for sort of these type of episodes, please let us know, because I'd like to do more like this.
This was a lot of fun.
And we
Yeah.
will see you all next week. Goodbye for now.
Yep.
Have a
Later.
good weekend,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
everyone. Thanks.
Catch you later.